what's up?
Hello.
What's up, dude?
Wow.
Jeez.
I think people just like immediately click off the podcast after that.
Probably, yeah.
Yes.
Yo, Aaron, is that a new light bar I see in the background?
Oh man, yes it is. Thank you so much. This
Oh
one right
my
here.
God.
Yeah.
Oh,
That looks
Alex,
so
did you
good.
put our logo up in the background?
It's not our logo, but it's close.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
that's neat.
Why don't
Well,
you
now
make
I'm
it
jealous.
ours?
It was Chad's birthday present.
Listen,
Yeah.
Amazon didn't do no custom crap.
I see, I see.
Yeah, you got to go to Etsy for the custom shit.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
I
Don't
know
mess around.
Aaron's light's been up for like a bunch of podcasts at this point. It's like
Yeah.
we'd call it out now.
It's all right. I'm not sad.
And
Everybody,
you
welcome
shine
back.
it out the front window to all the neighbors.
I mean,
Throw 'em
yeah,
off
it's
your
it's
giant
important.
pink light.
It's important to get some
It is funny. I didn't think of that.
interesting colors out into the neighborhood because there's just a lot of just soft whites and whites.
Yeah.
That sounds like I'm talking about something other than
Your
the color of
neighbors.
light into the
Yep.
neighborhood.
And this is the totem pole house, and this is the RGB house.
Yes. It's good stuff. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Forecast, a bi-weekly podcast about everything games, film, and news. I'm Aaron Juno.
I'm Alex Maslin.
I'm Caleb Juno.
You did it.
I'm Chad McCausland.
I'm Jake Better, Kyle.
I'm Owen Patterline. What's going on, ladies and gentlethems?
On today's episode, number 181, Unity decides to backtrack on a controversial price hike for their software amid backlash from developers. Big surprise. Neuralink begins open recruitment for their recently approved BCI implants. And we'll take a look at the list of who is striking in the U.S. today. Also, announcements from several showcases, and we tried out another one-shot, and of course, we've been playing games. If you'd like to know about what we do, you can follow us on our social channels. You can check out our website, WeAreTheHorizon.com, where we have a ton of original content for you to browse through, including our multi-arc Starfinder adventure, The Discordant Signal. Additionally, everything we talk about is in our cast notes, which is pushed out to whatever podcasting app you are using. Let's get into it. I have, boys, another list for us this week.
Oh, boy.
I'm excited.
Man, okay.
I'm excited. When I search for these lists, I want you to know that I just don't like type top 10 or top 10 list and then go just find a list, an arbitrary list. Because the real issue with that is you're going to end up with things that are just purely fact-based that are like 10 most deadly volcanic eruptions in history. All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a list. Yes, you're right. But is there any... It's purely like I want something subjective, like something where somebody digs
Something we
deep
can argue over.
and we can, yes, we can argue. Well, I mean, technically, you can argue whatever you want. You could say absolutely not. There were more volcano eruptions that were deadlier. You would be wrong.
I feel like that's fact-based, though. You can't really, like,
Hey,
argue
it's
against that.
2023. We live in a realm and a world of alternative facts, Alex.
True.
Whatever
I
you
don't
want
know
to
if we should be
believe.
promoting that.
All right, the list I came up with this time, though. Been watching some movies lately, and I started thinking about what would be a good keyword for me to use searching for a list. And I decided overrated was a good keyword to use this week. Yes. So we have Listverse, their top 10 most overrated movies of all time.
Better not be an Edgar Wright movie on this list. I feel like there's gonna be.
I will tell you right off the top, I agree with it. Maybe a couple of these, but man, the vast majority, we'll just see how it goes. Number 10, we have 1975's Jaws.
Oh,
Okay.
All right, I
You know-
suppose.
I've never seen Jaws, so
Great movie.
Pretty solid.
It's about a shark.
yeah. No, I know roughly what it's about.
Yeah, there's a shark and it like eats people
And boats.
and
Is
boats.
it
It's the prequel to Mega or whatever that movie is with Jason
Yeah.
The
Statham.
Meg.
Big
The
Shark?
Meg.
Prequel to Big Shark.
Big Shark.
Mm,
Oh yeah,
Big Shark.
And Big Shark's the prequel to the Meg, right? Just they keep getting growing in size.
Big
Yeah,
shark,
Prelude
bigger
to
shark.
baby shark.
Yeah.
Sharknado.
Yeah,
Love
of
that
course. Number 9, we have 1980's The Shining.
Overrated? I don't know
Yeah.
about that.
I feel like people don't really talk about it enough for it to be overrated.
This hurts me a lot.
I mean,
This is an excellent
just
movie.
like a good one. I feel like it's
it's a good
appropriately
movie.
rated because everyone's like, yeah, it's really good. And guess what? It's really good. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I've never
Sometimes you
actually
just
seen
get
it.
it right.
You've
It's
never
so-
seen The Shining?
No,
It's spooky.
I'm surprised you've seen it.
You couldn't watch it.
I
He
can watch
doesn't
scary
mind scary
movies.
movies.
Can you?
Yes.
He's weird.
Okay.
Scary movies are fine. I don't have any agency in scary movies. It just happens.
I see.
I think
I see.
we've gone over this before, but could you watch, for instance, Black Mirror Bandersnatch or whatever the thing is called, where you
because that's an
determine the
interactive
ending.
element.
Yeah. Could you read Goosebumps as a kid, like the one where you like
Choose
chose
your
your
own.
ending?
Choose your own.
Or was that too
I don't
much
think-
agency in reading the book?
I don't think a book's ever scared me.
I don't
Wow.
know, man.
I don't
There's
know
a lot
how
of
a book can be scary.
reader agency in Goosebumps.
It's true.
You
I
ever
could
do the
probably
thing
also
where
do
you guys are
Bandersnatch.
reading through and you have like all your fingers stuck between the pages to mark where you last were
Yeah.
at?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then eventually you're just like, all right, time to just dog ear all the pages.
That's
Dude,
right.
I had one of the books. It was like you had to like pick your inventory at the start, and I was cheating, obviously. And so I went to one. And it was like you picked too many items. You obviously cheated to get to this point, and it killed me. And I was like, "This sucks."
That's really
That's
good.
amazing.
Get
I was
got.
so upset.
Coming in at number 8, we have 1994's Forrest Gump.
It's fine.
I mean, that's one like everyone likes it, but I don't know if anyone's like, "Oh my god, what a fucking
Yeah.
tour
They're not
de
like-
force."
I mean, I watched it recently for the first time. It's a movie. I understand why people liked it
Really?
back in the day.
Yeah. I feel like people usually praise it pretty highly.
I feel like when you're saying like overrated, you're gonna be like, oh, like Star Wars. Or
Right.
like The Dark
Right.
Knight, like movies that people are like really, really obnoxious about, particularly
Yeah.
online, right?
Things they rave about.
Yeah, right. When it's like, oh, you know, like I don't know, like you could probably say about like maybe the first Avengers now. Maybe that's a little overrated because it was kind of like a cultural moment. You kind of had to be there.
Mm.
Like Forrest Gump, like I don't know, yeah, it's fine. I don't know. I feel like
Yeah.
people aren't really. You don't have a lot of diehard Gump heads out there, you know.
Number 7, we have 1999's The Blair Witch Project.
Good movie.
I mean, I've never seen it, but I do respect it for what it did on the budget that they had and the way that they filmed it. Like, that is a movie that every film kid studies because of the way that they did it. Like, it's... but I don't know if that makes it a good movie/horror movie. Again, I haven't seen it. I just am just like, damn, that's how they did that? That's fucking crazy, man.
I mean, it spawned
Overrated
an
is-
entire genre of shaky
Yeah.
cam.
I also don't think
movies.
it's like rated that high, is it?
I honestly don't know.
I think some
really
people,
like it.
I think some people really are passionate about that one.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
more of a cult following, right?
Sure.
I
Cult
think that
classic.
might be the
At
case.
this
It's like
point.
a Donnie Darko-esque. 86% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, that's
Wow,
higher than I
that's
thought.
pretty good.
Coming in at number 6, which I know we're all going to be upset about, 2004's The Notebook.
Not overrated.
I mean,
for sure.
yeah, that movie slaps. Let's be real.
it's very, very good.
I like the part with the book.
Yes. It's the
That
best
you
part
put
of
notes in.
I mean,
Well,
yeah,
that's the twist, right? They get the book and you're like, oh, that's just a normal ass book. And they open it full of notes. Crazy. Fucking nuts.
Coming in at number 5, 1999's Fight Club.
Oh, get out of here. No way.
I do not
Not-
think this is
it's
overrated.
not overrated.
What? Not like at all. This is stupid. Why is this on this list?
I freaking love Fight Club.
It's-
I'm not gonna say that one's overrated. That one's just
That's
rated.
up there with like best movies. In like the top 250 at least.
Weirdly enough, only a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
Crazy.
that's
It has a
That's
lower score than the Blair Witch Project.
capitalist reviewers for you out there getting paid off.
Yeah. Coming in at number 4, Gravity. 2013's Gravity.
Was that? Were
I
people
quite like
really
it.
into Gravity?
I feel like you don't hear about it very often.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like an Avatar, where like it came out and people were like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, that's really cool," and then like nobody has thought about it since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was neat at the time. It has a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I think that was one of the
is high.
That was it was really important. There was like a scene at the very beginning. It was like a 17-minute one take.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the dawn of movies maybe moving into really focus on more one takes, or maybe even single episodes of TV shows trying to string everything together and make it look like it was just a single take.
The audience score on Rotten Tomatoes seems like it's settled over time to like what it should actually be, which is 79.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Was the one shot like all CGI? Because I feel like most of that movie is just kind of CGI, right?
It is a lot
It's
of CGI, but
I mean, it's all CGI in the background, but it's mostly what's her face kind of
Sandra
flying
Bullock.
around in her
It's
Sandra
most-
Bullock
yeah.
flying around in a spacesuit.
I mean,
Well,
sure,
so does
but
Sandra Bullock's
she's
face.
not actually in space, so like presumably.
How do you know?
God, you fucking
I
got
think
me again.
I think they filmed it in space and then CG'd it anyway. Like they had took a green screen up there and filmed it
They were
just
like,
to
it
get
looks
low
too
gravity.
good. It looks too good. You gotta
They had-
CGI it.
they went up there and they're like, shoot, the Earth is flat. We have to CG the round Earth in.
You know what I
Exactly
think they did?
what happened.
I think they went up to space, filmed space, CGI'd in Sandra Bullock.
Oh shoot!
Mm,
There it is.
that's a good point.
I've never thought of it that way, but yeah, you know what? That could be it.
It's definitely it.
Coming in at number 3, we have 2001's, and I'm very mad about this. 2001's Moulin Rouge.
It's probably not overrated either.
I've heard people like it.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
I do like it a lot.
excellent
Oh,
movie.
It's very
I
good.
think it's an unconventional way to name a sequel to Mulan. Especially since it's like live action, right? Very strange.
Yes. Well, it's the prequel to the live action Mulan.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Number 2, 1997's Titanic.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
I'll
I'll take
allow
this.
that one.
No.
I'm
I
not.
don't agree.
I'm not.
Titanic
I'm not-
is really good.
It's good, but people freak
Guys.
out about it, man.
Yeah.
Is
really
it
freaking
really
good.
good though?
It's very good. It's really, really good.
See, the thing is, I'm not a
Especially for
James
the time it
Cameron
was
fan,
made.
though, you know?
Yes. I feel like it's good. I'm not gonna say it's bad. But like I feel like maybe it has more cultural impact than you would have expected. Like there's a lot of memes that have come out of it, like the door thing. Like, oh, he didn't even cry during the Titanic is like a meme format now somehow. I don't know. It's kind of weird if you think about it, because Titanic, like, it's fine. It's all right.
It's fine. Yeah, see, I agree. I'm right there. It's fine.
Yeah.
Probably overrated. Coming in at number 1, which I feel like this is a good number 1. I like this. This list, by the way, was published June 21st of this year. Number 1, 2009's Avatar, another James Cameron film. Yes.
Where's Way of Water?
Is it overrated though? Because everybody that talks about that movie says it's not good.
It makes cajillions of dollars.
Yeah,
Who's
That's
seen
what's
these
weird.
fucking flicks? I
doesn't
don't get
mean
it.
it's
Do you
rated
think-
highly.
Do you think that James Cameron is like just some sort of like pocket trillionaire and he buys out a bunch of theaters to create ghost audiences and then
I have
artificially
wondered.
inflate?
I would hope so.
Like after Avatar 2 came out and also started setting records, I was like, who is going out to see Avatar 2? The Way of Water. Who got excited about that one?
Alex and I went.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah, part of the problem.
it's really just the tech aspect, because his movies are like an experience in the theaters. Not that they're like good stories or like have particularly great acting or like any parts make them like a classic film or anything, but like at the time of release they are like a spectacle and like kind of crazy to see in theaters compared to everything else that comes out. So
That's fair.
Overrated.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Well, what do we think about the list? We got to rate it. It's pretty middling to me.
I think it's a little overrated, frankly.
You think the list is overrated?
the list is
Yeah.
overrated. Yeah,
Got
Yeah.
them. They've become what
4.
they swore to destroy.
we
A
were
4
like,
out of-
we
I think
had a
4 is
good list.
overrated.
You think 4 is overrated? 3? 2?
3 is what I'd put it at.
3?
I'd say 4.
I could do a 3. All right.
3
we'll
sounds
go-
good.
I wasn't really happy with like any of the choices, so
Yeah, none of them were like, oh yeah, that movie's definitely overrated. It was kind of split between like, oh, do people like that movie? And oh, that's just like a great film. Just regularly rated.
Rated normally.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll kind of stick middle ground. We'll stick with a 4. 4 out of 10 with that list. It's all right. Oh, and I see you've written in here
Yeah.
O's intro. Does that mean I owe you an intro?
No, I mean, I had an intro.
After
An
the
intro.
rate the list intro? You're going to
Well,
do
I
another
mean-
intro?
Look, I just want everybody to be aware that they need to remember that it's the 21st night of September. And, you know, love was changing the minds of the pretenders.
That's just a reference.
Do you not know Earth, Wind, and Fire, motherfucker? God damn, you uncultured swine.
I didn't get it.
This was a good intro.
I'm sorry.
I started thinking in my head.
Intro?
Remember the 21st of November, the gunpowder. No,
Yeah,
that's not
oh,
it.
Jesus
That's not it.
Christ,
That's where my
nerd.
mind
All
went,
right,
too.
continue onward.
Okay, I wanted to bring up my new favorite segment, which is Alex's News Corner. Alex, how's it going today? You doing good?
Hey, I'm pretty good, yeah.
You want to learn something about world news today?
Sure.
I was hoping not to.
But we can, and it's all good stuff. Did you know that
no.
United Auto Workers have gone on strike?
I
Did you know this?
I did not know that.
You didn't know this. You didn't know that like about 15,000 people are already on strike, and it's anticipated it could be up to upwards of like 150,000 people, which would be pretty close
Just in the auto
to
industry,
the SAG-AFTRA.
or?
Just in the
Okay.
auto industry. Yeah, these are the auto workers. It's all the people who manufacture for
Wait, why are
Ford,
only some of
Chrysler.
them striking?
Because it only starts at a couple plants, and basically as the movement grows, more plants will go on strike because demands aren't met, and it just keeps progressing and progressing and moving up and up. So, as of right now, there's about 15,000 who are on strike right now. Do you know why they're on strike?
Because
don't
they want
like
more
wages.
pay?
Hey,
This is Alex's
look at that.
News Corner.
Probably wages and or benefits of some kind, right?
Yes, they're asking for a wage increase of 40%. That's a nice raise. I would like that. They're asking for a reinstatement of cost of living protections. And most importantly, because of those two, we should bring this up. United Auto Workers and auto workers in general have not had pay increases since basically the financial crisis in 2008. It's been incredibly mediocre.
God damn.
Yes, and do you remember when we bailed out the entire auto industry because everything was essentially going bankrupt and we had to save people's jobs? Well, part of the negotiation was the UAW, United Auto Workers, said, fine, we will. You guys do not have to honor cost of living adjustments, which just means if the cost of living goes up in the place you live, or if we move to a different factory somewhere else and that cost of living is higher, we don't have to make a pay adjustment for how much you make. In the meantime, the CEOs of a couple of these auto industry companies are now making in upwards of like $300 million a year. But of course, we can't afford to pay people at the low end, which sounds very familiar to the SAG-AFTRA issue with paying people who are doing the actual work, doesn't it, Alex? What do you think, Alex? Is that a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Yes?
Whatever, man.
Okay, well, I tried. I'm trying, Alex. I'm trying to get you a little bit more, some world news. That's where I want you to land.
Usually I'm okay, you know?
Yeah,
It
but
was
I found
the
two
whole
things so
Russian
far.
thing, you know? Oh, yeah, you know.
I'm 2 for 2. We're going to keep this up. I'll make it more lively next time. Don't worry. All right, let's move on to a couple other things. What?
I mean, just talking about strikes, I saw YouTube music workers went on strike also.
YouTube music workers went on strike.
Like developers or like
The people that work on making sure music is available on the service and whatnot.
I see.
Google just like flat out refuses to bargain with them, and so they went on strike.
Ow. All right.
That says they joined the Alphabet Workers Union, but the union is not yet federally recognized and has not achieved a majority status in the company yet. So Google has refused to bargain with them and says it's not legally considered a union. So I don't know. Just more strikes. Thought it was interesting.
Thank you,
Yes.
Alex. I appreciate it.
He just one-upped your news.
He did.
section.
That wasn't.
He did.
That wasn't like.
Direct.
It's a much
Wow.
smaller strike than the auto workers, but
Wow. I need to step up my game. Thank you, Alex, for... I appreciate that. Let's talk about Unity, though, since we are talking about things that are
Christ.
causing issues. Man, Unity made a big announcement, I think it was last week, where they made some, we'll call it minor adjustments to their pay structure. I don't know who actually put this note in here. It's in my text color, but it is not me.
Oh, I don't know who put that either. I thought it was going to be me, but no,
I put it in, but I assumed that people would know and want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I just had it in there.
I mean,
and
it's
left it as a color.
It's some thoughts that they have going on over there.
Yeah. So, to give some context on what happened with Unity, for anyone who hasn't heard about this, and it's been all over the news, basically Unity announced via a blog post, not even like a official announcement.
Oh, that's coming.
Yeah, that they were changing from their prior revenue method, where you would basically pay per computer that was running Unity, but then you wouldn't have to pay once you went live with your product. Like, they wouldn't take a share of the profits. They've now changed to your finished product, you have to pay them 20 cents per time it is installed. So, like, if you make a game using Unity, you owe Unity 20 cents every time someone installs that game.
Including, like, the same customer installing it multiple times, yeah.
It's absolutely ludicrous, because, like, they posted this, and then, of course, everyone's like, what about if I install it on 2 different computers? What if I install it, uninstall it, and reinstall it? What about this? What about that? What about pirated games? And he was just like, it'll be fine, like, don't even worry about it. Like,
how does that stop them from hiring somebody literally just to sit there all day, uninstalling and reinstalling a game from Unity?
Great question.
Well, the bigger
Unity,
issue
would you like
is...
to elaborate?
Some of the people immediately jumped to the realization that in addition to review bombs, people could start install bombs.
Yep. Oh, that's bad.
And just run up the costs for the developer if they were mad at them for some reason.
Not to mention, you basically just can't make a free-to-play game anymore.
Yep.
If you use Unity.
Right. There's
free-to-play games. Bundles. Game Pass. What are you going to do about those, Unity?
Oh! There's this guy, Danny. He's a YouTuber, and he's a developer, and he has a couple of viral free Unity games. Muck and the Crab game. He said under the new cost, he would owe them $5.6 million. Both of the games are free. He's made nothing off of them.
I appreciate that they did talk about Game Pass. They did say that Microsoft will be the one that pays them for the downloads on Game Pass.
Yeah, that was interesting.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Which I was
People were like, what about charity bundles where we give away our game for free? And they were like, addendum, charity doesn't count. That you guys can do that still. That's fine. Man. But like that was something they didn't think of at the first.
As long as your charity isn't Planned Parenthood or children's hospitals, because those are political groups and not charities, according to Unity. Which, like, the fact that children's hospitals... Last I checked, we didn't have any problems with children's hospitals. In fact, I think we raise money for them, but apparently helping kids that are sick, that's a political move. Jesus fucking Christ. I cannot imagine who was running any decision in Unity and being like, this is fine. This is all good.
It's supposed to go into effect like January 1st. And somehow the changes are also like retroactive. Or like at least partially retroactive.
Partially, I think. I think it's retroactive to the point where you meet the requirement that it now starts costing you.
Yes.
It doesn't. They don't make you pay for all the ones that have already been installed.
Right. Okay.
Oh, and reading our chat here, how do they track any of this? Oh, right. Yeah. They asked that, and they were just like, trust us. We've got proprietary ways of doing this. Yeah. Just trust us. We'll charge you the right amount of money. Don't you worry. Which just seems sketchy at any point in time.
Like
if I
taxes.
have to do something and someone says, trust us, just pay me, like, I don't trust you.
Yeah. Well, Tim makes another good point. John Riccatello, the ex-president of EA, who was there at the height of like microtransactions and everything when EA was voted worst company in the United States multiple times in a row. He is now over at Unity, and that's probably where all this is coming from.
Yeah.
No. So, are you guys familiar with his like infamous quote from a few years back when he was at EA? He was talking
about the ammo.
About the ammo!
Yes.
Yeah, he was talking about making people pay microtransactions. He was like, yeah, if you're playing Battlefield and you run out of bullets and we ask you to pay for more bullets, you're really susceptible to pay to like microtransactions at that moment. Like you're just gonna pay it.
Gonna be
It's like,
honest with
what
you.
the fuck are you talking about?
If I get hit with a microtransaction because I've shot too many bullets being an FPS shooter, I'm alt F4ing. And I'm never playing that game again.
Yeah, I mean, just
Do you think that that's
takes?
Like that makes me think of Nolan Sorrento, the character from Ready Player One, when he's like trying to sell the idea of doing ads on 60% of a player's visual space at all times to generate revenue.
Yeah, I mean, he was a joke character. You know what I mean? Like that's a joke suggestion, but this guy apparently took it as aspirational.
Yep, I think he did. It looks like the walkbacks are mostly things like they're going to limit revenue for customers making over $1 million to just 4%. Which
there's no way they're going forward with this. Like every developer and their mom has come forward and been like, "This sucks, and we are not going to use Unity." I have a quote here from Megacrit, who I believe is the developer who made Slay the Spire. They basically came out and were like, "Hey, this sucks shit. We're not going to use it anymore." And they sign off with, "We have never made a public statement before. That is how badly you fucked up."
Yep.
Like, incredible. There's no way. They're going to lose all of their user... I mean, they might already be screwed. Like, I feel like a lot of people are just going to stay away from Unity, just kind of...
Oh, yeah.
Because what's stopping them from doing this later?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, why would you make a new game right now? If Jake and I decided to make a game today, what would make us think that Unity would be a safe product to use?
Yeah, right.
Nothing. I would never touch it. I would just be like, that looks like a fucking dumpster fire, and go somewhere else.
Yeah,
because the Cult of the Lamb people said that they're gonna delist and delete their game on the 1st of January.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I was gonna ask, so it's basically no games are grandfathered into like the free model. So now we're going straight in. That's like years of people having games out, and it's just like, oh, by the way, now you have to pay us. Like, how does that work? So I watched a video the other day, and it like, for people who don't know much about Unity, but maybe know a little bit more about like design work or, you know, Adobe products, it's essentially making a video or a design, and every single time somebody sees it, you have to pay Adobe because you use their yeah. So it's like, what?
That's true. It's very similar.
Like, so basically, my iDraxis logo that I created with Photoshop. Anytime anybody sees my profile on Steam, like, I owe Adobe money. Or like anytime anybody clicks onto my YouTube channel and watches a single video, like, I now don't get all the monetization from that YouTube video. I have to fork over money to Adobe.
Heck yeah.
Like, how is that possible? Also, videos that have been up for like 10 plus years, it's like, bro, that's bizarre to me that like there could be games that have been up for decades, and then it's just like, oh, by the way, you used Unity, so now you owe us money. Crazy.
Yeah.
So what do we think the outcome of this is going to be? Are they just at some point going to be like, never mind, sorry, nothing's happening at all whatsoever?
That is 100% my guess.
Yeah.
Like, this reminds me so much of when Wizards of the Coast did their OGL?
Oh,
Open
yeah.
Game License,
yeah.
Where they were like, hey, you're going to start paying us a shit ton of money for stuff that was free. And everyone was like, hey, that sucks, so we're not going to do it. And then they were like, whoop, sorry.
Theirs was
Sorry,
even
everyone.
worse, though, because I think in their original one, it was basically like, if you made anything under this, we now own it, and we can use it however we want.
Sure.
And
I
that
can see them being so out of touch with reality that they actually implement this for a little bit and see what their bottom line looks like, and then it's going to get hit super hard, and then finally they're going to come out and be like, oh, by the way, and then they're going to give like a ton of deals, and then they're going to try to backtrack, but like nobody's really going to use Unity after that if they actually implement this.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's like kind of like you're on that fence where it's like, should we use Unity or should we not? But if they actually implement this, and it's like that's the final nail, like, you're done.
The real shitty thing is that springing this on people like this, you have a lot of people who like, hey man, 3 years ago I started a game, and I chose Unity because I don't have to pay per install. And now, Unity sucks shit, game's not even out yet, and it's like, well, what? Do I just throw away 3 years worth of work and try to switch engines, or am I just locked in?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so shitty, you know, because you're literally changing the terms of the software they chose to use years and years ago.
Yeah, there was a whole issue with the programmer from Team Cherry liking some comment about delaying Silksong for 5 years because they're gonna rewrite the entire game in a different engine.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And he liked the comment, and everybody's like, "No, what does this mean?"
No.
I think the other thing that was very scummy that somebody pointed out was that the CEO John sold like $1 million worth of shares of Unity before making the before all of this like happened, and it's like, okay, so like you knew what you were doing, like you knew this was gonna be bad because you were just like, nope.
Wow.
And
I mean,
it's just, goddamn, man.
like, how is that not like insider trading?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know. It feels like that should be illegal.
Yeah.
Didn't somebody from Unity like sell off a bunch of their stock before this?
Yeah,
was passed?
that's what
that's what
I'm
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Is
Yeah,
it
that
insider trading if it's your own
Seems
company?
illegal. I mean, I would think so.
Right?
Is it
I
not?
mean, it is, yeah.
How could it
I have no
not
idea.
be?
That's the most insider trading.
I was gonna say, because isn't that what like is basically considered what a rug pull is? Like
Oh,
you
true,
basically
true.
Basically.
hank your own company, but like you've already sold your stock, so like you know you just
And
you,
I
you
think
got
that's
rich
what
quick and you're done.
Elon Musk got in trouble for a while ago because he posted on Twitter that he was gonna sell a bunch of stock or something, and then the price went nutty, and then he profited from it essentially.
Mm.
And the FTC like I don't know what the FTC does. Did they sue him?
They do some things.
They
They
arrested
do
him.
something.
He's in
They
FTC
fine
jail
him.
right now.
There's
really
a
nice
company,
jail.
There's a company called AppLovin that is like a marketing and monetization platform. They tried to buy Unity a while back, and then they ended up selling to like a competitor or something like that, like basically scorned them. Well, they came out with this app to help convert Unity assets to Godot and or Unreal.
Amazing.
Very funny. I don't
Very good.
it's just called Unifree.
It's a good name. It's a good name. Let's also talk about some Microsoft leaks. Jake, I think this is you.
Yes, that is mine. So Microsoft is still, I guess this came from the their battle also with the FTC, I think, right?
Yeah.
The kind of the antitrust kind of thing with their merger with Activision. And I guess they just left out some unredacted documents. And so we got like a treasure trove of documents of like
How does this
Microsoft
happen?
planning documents. I don't know how this keeps happening. Like, just check, guys. Just look. It's not hard to tell if a document's redacted or not. Like, oh my lord. What I've seen, I don't think there's been anything like really mind blowing. It's the big thing was like, oh, there's like a roadmap that showed like the big ones were Dishonored 3, which I don't think is surprising, especially after Redfall fell flat on its face.
Yeah.
I figured Dishonored 3 was going to be in the works. But the one I at least had not heard of before was a remaster of Fallout 3 and Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Which, cool if true.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of exciting.
If they do it as an actual remaster and not just the Red Dead 1 port that they did, like that's the only caveat
Sure.
that I will say before I get excited about it, because would I like Oblivion on like a newer engine and stuff? Yes, but if it's just the same thing that I already have on my 360, I'm just gonna go play it on my 360. Like, that's dumb.
Yeah, my guess is that it's going to be like the Skyrim Anniversary Edition or Special
Yeah.
Edition, where it's like minor graphical improvements, probably some stability and performance improvements, and they'll just push it out the door because they're not going to do new voice work, they're not going to write new quests. You know, it's just going to be like, all right, it looks better now.
Yeah. Oblivion's old enough I could see them putting more effort into it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it would be cool if they did a little more work on it. I'm not going to hold my breath personally.
Some of the lesser things from the same slide, Ghostwire Tokyo sequel. I don't know if people expected that.
I certainly
And
didn't.
did that game sell well?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Also, there's a mention of Doom Year Zero, which is the next Doom game.
I mean, cool.
Yeah, I was just asking about that.
Plus DLC listed for that.
I
I'm
was,
ready.
I was telling Aaron that the 2 expansions that came out were kind of just subpar, and like one of them I didn't even know came out. But you know, as people reacted to it, they were like, you know, basically saying that there was a lot of stun locks and stuff like that that they didn't really particularly care for when it comes to a fast-paced shooter like that. But then I was like, when's the next Doom coming out? It's been a few years.
Yeah. On the hardware side of things, there should be a Series X refresh next year, 2024. That's diskless, so that's something. Also kind of looks like a cylinder. But then more interesting, they have their next generation console slated for 2028.
Ooh. Okay.
So another 5 years out until next generation. Also, they talk about how that one, they want to support hybrid computing, which means like some stuff done locally on the system and some stuff done in the cloud. So like the best example that I found was like you controlling your character locally, so it's nice and like performant and you don't feel any latency, but then like AI would be controlled from like a cloud, and you could have like thousands of dudes like in like an army or something. Something that you couldn't do locally that you could, like, with the power of basically infinite compute, you could run.
Interesting.
Neat idea. I would be surprised if they can do it well.
Yeah.
I
mean,
mean,
I'm
implementation of that, you're always limited by your bandwidth and your just raw internet speed, right? Like at some point, not everybody can utilize that software or that tech because it's just they don't have access to internet that's capable of achieving that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like you're trading out hardware limitations for network limitations.
Yep.
Like it's a lateral move at best.
I doubt the types of data they'd be sending would be like big enough to cause an issue for most residential connections.
Most residential connections?
Yeah.
My guy.
You realize that most residential connections aren't like a gig up, gig down, right? Like, I just want to make sure we realize that we are the abnorm with that as a baseline.
I mean, streaming
I would
graphics
expect
is the biggest issue. If you're
yeah,
not
if
streaming that.
if they're streaming video, I could see that being a problem. It's just like
Data streams, way smaller.
I mean, if you can play multiplayer games and have the commands of all the people that you're playing against be transmitted to you, you're probably fine.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Fair point. Anything else from the leaks we need to know about?
I mean, some emails came out that were funny. they clearly didn't think highly of Baldur's Gate 3. They thought they were going to pick it up for Game Pass for like, I think they said like 5 million or something.
Yeah.
Some like very low number. Whereas for like Star Wars Jedi Survivor, they were ready to shell out 30 million to get that sucker on Game Pass.
Big
they thought very
mistakes.
highly of that one.
Mistakes were made, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the
They're gone.
I was gonna say I liked the email of whoever just being like, I want to buy Nintendo. That would be like
sure.
the crown
Spencer.
jewel of him saying I want to buy Nintendo would be the crown jewel of my of my job or whatever of my
his
tenure
career,
here. Yeah, and I was like, what?
Phil Spencer's goal for like his entire career is just to buy Nintendo, and that he would be like satisfied with
Valve
life.
was mentioned in there too, right?
Yeah, they also want to buy Valve. They said they basically said like neither one of those is really an option at the time, but if either company ever has like a downturn of any sort, they're just gonna scoop them up. So
Fair, I guess. Like, that'd be a hell of a get, and I can definitely afford it. But like, it's just a weird energy.
there was
I
also
wouldn't
some
mind them buying Nintendo. Get all Nintendo stuff on PC.
That would be cool.
yeah. I wonder how it would affect Nintendo creatively.
Yeah, I'm
If
sure
they would just
not
like
be
let
good.
them do what they do usually and force them to put their games on like PC and Xbox. I don't know. There was some data from ZeniMax where they projected that the next Elder Scrolls should make them like $1 billion. So that was fun.
I'd be curious to hear how much they've made from
Starfield.
Yeah.
Because they're boasting what, 10 million players, something like that.
I didn't see any reports like that. So that's interesting.
Admittedly, a lot of that is probably Game Pass, but
Sure.
still.
I mean, if they can sell Game Pass with Starfield, that's worth it for them.
I mean, sure. I mean, I'm sure that's what they're thinking right now.
Mm-hmm.
Xbox did see an uptick of like 75% in hardware sales when it released. So people buying Xboxes just to play Starfield.
Oh yeah. I think in the UK or something it was like up 75%.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the PlayStation Showcase.
Oh, this is me too.
All these are you.
Yeah, what? I mean, we'll start with the big one, I guess. Foam Stars. Everyone's
Oh, yeah.
excited about Foam Stars. It's like Splatoon, but it's not paint, it's foam.
But we have Splatoon at home.
No,
Right.
you were just complaining about not being able to play Nintendo stuff, Caleb. This is
True,
it. There you
I
go.
can play Splatoon
You
on
can play
PC
foam.
now.
You
Foam
can
Stars.
play with foam.
Foam Stars, man.
Everyone loves Foam Stars. I think they did some like Final Fantasy stuff.
You say that like it was nothing, but that was like their big.
I know
Like
people are
finale.
excited about it. Sorry, I'm really down on it because I ended up not liking the remake so much. Sorry, it didn't really excite me all that much. The Resident Evil 4 DLC, that was the big
Yes.
one to me at least.
Yeah.
Like in my mind. They're releasing Separate Ways, which was a DLC for Resident Evil 4. They're releasing it for the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Where he plays Ada Wong, right?
Yes. Yeah, I've never played Separate Ways. But it's cool that they're still supporting Resident Evil 4 remake. That's great.
Helldivers 2 got pushed back to next year sometime. It's early next year, but I can't remember off the top of my
February
head.
8th, I think. I think it's February 8th.
That's kind of sad, but I'm excited for that either way.
Kind of sad. I was. They said this year, so automatically I was like, okay, December. So pushing it back
Yeah.
to February in my mind actually isn't that bad.
yeah.
Yeah. Honestly,
So-
it's one less game I need to play this year.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
True.
It looks really cool that they did like an extended gameplay thing. It looks
Yeah,
so
dude.
awesome.
They did that thing that's always fun where they have fake gamer chatter
Oh yeah.
during gameplay. Where it's like, bro, watch my flank. I'm gonna deploy a frag. And it's like, no. That's you've never played in an online lobby, huh?
Yeah.
That's how we're gonna play when we play co-op.
Yeah. Honestly, dude, that would be so much fun to just play one of those games and just act like the fake gamer chatter. That'd be a blast.
Someone did get murdered by a teammate. That seems pretty real for us.
Yep.
Got us.
There's a big alien that wrecked people.
The only other thing that stuck out to me was a game called Baby Steps. I don't know, was
Oh,
this
yeah.
like its first debut? I
No.
feel like I
Yeah.
hadn't heard about it.
We'd
Have
seen
they
it.
talked about it?
We'd seen it elsewhere, yeah, previously
Okay,
in
I'm
the
pretty
year,
sure
I
it
think.
was on this one.
It's the
but
new Bennett Foddy thing, right?
Yes, it's Bennett Foddy and the guys who made Ape Out. If anyone
that's
remembers
right.
Ape Out.
Oh, I fucking
Um,
loved Ape Out.
Well, they're making a new game. It's nothing like Ape Out.
Aw.
It's like it seems like it's a Quap 'em Up or kind of like a Manual Samuel if anyone
Quap 'em
remembers
Up.
that game.
Quaff.
What do you want from me? That's what it is. It's a Quap 'em Up. But you play as like a guy, and it seems like you have like individual control over his limbs. It's like a very awkward walking simulator. It looks like it might be a laugh. It's got kind of the getting up style like narration playing over top of it. Seems like it could be a good time coming out next year.
Emmanuel Samuel might be a good comparison, I feel like.
Yeah.
Watching the trailer for it.
Yeah, it's kind of a humorous take on that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I loved Manuel Samuel. I thought Manuel Samuel was a freaking blast.
It was
So, if this is anywhere close to that, I'll be excited.
Okay, so that's it for the Sony showcase. What about Nintendo Direct, though? Anything we need to know about from there?
Yeah, I thought this one was more exciting. We got to look at the new Princess Peach game, which is called Princess Peach
Showtime.
Showtime. Thank you. It's I don't know. It looks like a cute little like adventure game. You get it's sort of like you basically put on like different. You get different power-ups, I guess. So you're like sword fighting Peach, and you get like a sword, and you get to like
You're,
beat
like,
people up.
Playing different roles
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
showtime.
There's like a detective level where you're a detective, and I have no idea how that'll play out. But you basically just like get different abilities. It looks really charming. Who knows if it'll actually be like good, but it, it's Nintendo. It'll probably at least be decent, right? I thought it looked really charming. They showed off. They trolled everyone by showing off F-Zero. F-Zero 100 is probably what they're calling it, if I had to guess. 99, excuse me. They start showing F-Zero stuff, and everyone's been waiting for a new F-Zero game. Because they haven't made a new F-Zero game in so freaking long. And it's like Tetris 99. It's, what's the word I'm looking for? Why can't I think of it?
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale, thank you. Where you're racing F-Zero cars against 99 other people. And it's just like a last man standing thing. And I don't know who wants that. Like, I guess it's better than not making any more F-Zero games for like fans
everyone
of the
was
series.
waiting for F-Zero. I was watching the direct and these guys are on and I was like, oh, you guys know F-Zero? And they're like, no. What's F-Zero?
I mean, I feel like every time there's a direct, you hear from the F-Zero thing. And people are like, come on, we haven't had a game in so long, and they just won't.
F-Zero 99 looks kind of neat.
I mean, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. The big news that I at least was excited about is they're remaking Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I almost couldn't believe it when they started playing. I was like, oh my fucking god, they're actually going to do it. Especially since the frickin' Super Mario RPG game remake isn't even out yet. That's coming out in like a month. But they're remaking, it's like a beloved GameCube game that's getting the remake treatment. So that's really exciting, in my opinion.
Luigi's Mansion 2 as well.
Yeah, they're remaking that one.
Remix.
Yeah, they seem to just be going through their catalog and being like, is there anything that was like good? Let's just remake it, I guess.
Original Tomb Raider games, 1, 2, and 3. I don't know who asked for that.
I don't know what that's about.
That one is literally, it's so bizarre to me because it's like, why Nintendo?
Yeah.
Why those games? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why that one's happening.
They also don't look like that much better than the original.
So they still look super dated.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Tomb Raider obviously is like a big name, a lot of name recognition, but I feel like it's not like beloved the way a lot of older games are. You know what I mean? Like it's not like Super Mario 64, where like you can still pick it up all these years later and it totally holds up. I don't know. I'm sure someone's excited about that one.
Surprised I haven't done Super Mario 64 remake actually.
Well, I guess it was more of a port. They did that Super Mario
to the Switch.
All-Stars? Is that what it was called?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. It was 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. Thank you. I'm having so much trouble talking today.
Got you, fam.
Yeah, thank you. My brain's just like moving in slow motion. I don't know what's wrong with me.
They showed like more Mario Kart stuff, and every time they do it on a direct, I'm like, really? They're still doing
Who is playing
more Mario Kart content and the same Mario Kart game?
I think it's because the what do you call it? The like online pass, like the family pass thing or whatever, keeps giving you that stuff for free.
What's it?
And so I think that's it. Like it's just like, hey, you've been paying for this thing for a year. Here's all of the new maps that you get. Aren't you excited? You know, like, I think it's kind of that.
Like, who's playing Mario Kart online? Like, I feel like it is the least well-suited to being, like, an online competitive experience. Like, I feel like Mario Kart's really good for sitting around with a bunch of your friends where nobody really knows the controls that well, but you're gonna have a pretty close race because the person in last can just ruin the guy in front, stay, and you just kind of drink and have a good time. I don't know who's hopping online like, oh yeah, I want to fight a bunch of 12-year-olds for first.
Mario Kart supremacy.
Yeah, maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I don't think it's just you. I think there's a handful of those games, though, that are only like, you only play them semi-casually when you have the wrong group of people gathered together.
Right.
And you don't know what to do. It's like when somebody inevitably pulls out Cards Against Humanity and you're like, well, there's literally nothing else this group of people can play, so I guess that's what we'll play.
Yeah, we'll play something that anyone knows the rules to.
Have you ever played Mario Kart against somebody that's like really good at Mario Kart that plays like a ton of Mario Kart?
Yes.
Because it's not fun.
Not fun.
It's not fun at all. It is by far the worst experience you might have because you're like, I thought this was a fun game, and you were wrong.
I was like, I thought this game was like super rubber bandy, and we're supposed to all have a chance here, but actually, no. Turns out,
Yeah, actually, I'm getting lapped again. Like what? Like, bro, you can chill a little bit. I don't know.
What, you gotta play drunk Mario Kart with them?
Yeah.
Although you'd be on the floor and they would be sober AF.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, one last thing in news before we move on. I wanted to bring this up because I think it's kind of interesting. Elon Musk's biotech startup. Have you guys heard of Neuralink?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I mean, it's controversial for multiple different reasons, but they did receive FDA approval to start it's like first in-house clinical trial for humans. They've been working with monkeys and some other animals as well, and now they're transitioning onto human trials.
Okay.
And they're calling it the PRIME study, which is the Precise Robotically Implanted Brain-Computer Interface. PRIME. That is
We're gonna have a bunch of Optimus
I
Primes.
love that.
That's a weird way to.
I just love that they had
the
a room of
acronym
people
PRIME.
that were like, we gotta come up with an acronym that's like also a cool word
I don't know.
that makes sense.
I just think it's really interesting. One, obviously, we are going to move to, at some point, a time in which we are implanting more chips in order to accomplish things for people who have, things like ALS or just an inability to access motor function in their appendages. I mean, that's a serious problem. It's interesting to me that this is progressing so rapidly. I didn't know that we'd see this that fast. And I think, this company's only been around for 5 years, and they're already in clinical trials for something that a robot is implanting directly on the tissue of the brain with small wires that then spiderweb out to various components on your, I think it's your frontal lobe, to do this brain-computer interface that runs off of an app.
Heck yeah.
Isn't that weird?
That just
It's freaking
means that,
bizarre, man.
like, before I die, I can probably just upload myself.
Is that your ultimate goal, Alex?
Just want to get uploaded.
I mean, I don't know, actually, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be just like Soma. It's gonna be one of you still left and one of you uploaded.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's right.
god.
Yes, that's
Great
exactly what
point.
it'd be like.
I don't, man. I'm just worried. It's like, has anyone watched Cyberpunk Edge Runners? We know it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's gonna be bad.
I really like. I think medical science fascinates me. I don't understand it at all whatsoever. Even ever since my sister had her brain aneurysm and they had to fix that, I talk about that with my family all the time. How bizarre it is that they ran this tiny little cable from a freaking vein in her leg up through her heart into her brain and then deposited a teeny tiny amount of platinum wire to stop a clot. And it's a surgery that it took like an hour.
Yeah.
She's
Wow.
fine.
was
It just
insane.
blows my mind that that's possible. And so stuff like this, I think, is really neat. Obviously, there's a lot of concern for the safety of people who are in these trials. I mean, the FDA doesn't just haphazardly give people clinical trial access. So obviously, they've been able to show some amount of safety. They did have, I think they had a chimp die in 2022, which is part of why they've had so much backlash and so many problems with them progressing to the next stage. But I mean, if they can help people who have quadriplegia or who have ALS be able to have like regular motor function again, absolutely incredible and wild. It's it seems like almost a leap, not of science, but like a little bit of science fiction when you think about what the technology's actually doing.
Or, like, people that don't necessarily need any help moving, but, like,
Want to
just
get
make 'em-
uploaded?
just make them, like, superior beings,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex.
They can just, like, improve, like, your motor function beyond that of a normal human.
I would just like improvement to my motor function to be that of a normal human.
It's like replace my eyes with, like, cybernetic vision and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's do it, man. Let's go.
I don't
Someday,
know, man.
Alex.
Do you want to be reliant on an app for your eyes?
Sure, man.
I'm
Maybe
just
not.
saying,
I mean, not
I've
Gen
had-
1. I'm not gonna go
I've
Gen
had-
1 line up and get my eyes replaced, but
I've had simple apps crash and become
Gen 3?
unusable. Like, what if the firmware on my eyes is no longer supported? What am I gonna do?
Heal your way to the hospital.
Yeah, right. Like I don't know, man.
You gotta upgrade to the new version, I guess.
Yeah, see, right? What if Unity made my eyes?
Yeah. What if
What am
the
I
new
gonna
version
do?
costs 20 cents every
Every time you
blink?
look at something, 20 cents.
Every time.
It'll be your eyes phone every year model, and so
And,
the eyes from last year starts to
reality of
lag,
that
so
would
you
be
have
like-
to buy.
They would just insert advertisements into your everyday life.
Oh,
God,
God.
hellish.
No, absolutely not.
You're sleeping, you're just getting advertised to in your dreams
Absolutely not.
with your brain
This is-
interface.
This is like when they were trying to like patent commercials that would only play when your eyes were making contact with the view screen. Do you guys remember when
Yeah.
they were working on those ads?
Yeah.
Am I the only one that sees the grimace in the corner?
Alex, you know you can already get augmentations now in order to accomplish things in real life.
Heck yeah, like what?
Well, you can get NFCs in your palms. Just make all your transactions without having to use your phone. No credit cards.
Left palm only.
Why left palm only?
Because right is the mark of the beast, Aaron.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm just saying there are things you could do right now that doesn't. You don't have to like take the giant leap to eyeballs.
Yeah.
You can start with something small. You know.
NFC chips in your body sounds cool. The people that get the magnets in their fingertips sound cool.
Mhm.
What's the purpose of that?
It's for people who work with small parts.
To be Magneto.
It's not for people that work with. What are you talking about? It's for like electricians, so they can like feel magnetic fields to make sure like lines are not active. They're working on and stuff like that.
That's wild. There's tools for that.
Yeah,
Wild. Why would
Yeah,
you
but
get
what if
something
the tools were
implanted in you that
always
there's
in your
tools
hand?
for?
It gives you a sixth sense. It's so cool.
That's
You
what
can-
the tool does. You can have an external sixth sense. You don't need to implant one.
And then you can probably also pick up like small bolts and things like that with
Why
your
would you
fingertip.
want that?
It's so much
You're
easier.
just gonna get metal shavings on your fingertips all the time.
Yeah.
But Caleb, you know how much work it is to like grab something and pick it up? Now you just need to touch it probably several times until it sticks. How much more convenient is that?
I don't know. The amount of times where I have a screwdriver that doesn't have a magnetic tip and I end up dropping a screw down this dark crevice somewhere that I'll never get again.
So you
If I
want to
just-
stick your finger down there and hope it
No,
attracts to
what
it?
I was
There
gonna
you
say
go.
is
Yes.
I just want to have, the magnets in my fingers, and then all my screwdrivers are just going to be ferrous. So, like, it'll just transfer that magnetism through it directly to whatever screw's
I mean,
being
if
held.
they're that strong, I feel like you're gonna have a lot of issues.
Probably not that strong.
Every time you try to open a door, your hand's stuck there indefinitely.
It's
He
like-
only works with wooden doors now.
that's right.
Like fully wooden doors. I mean.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
No,
That's what I'm
no metal
talking about.
knobs, nothing.
Wooden knobs.
I can do that. No problem. Okay, let's talk about one quick thing in tabletop. We played our second session of our Newton's Third Law of RPGs. We played the One Ring 2E, published by Free League. Of course, I said it was going to be 2 to 4 hours. It ended up being 5, so here we are. But I think, at least from my perspective, I think we got a pretty good roundabout perspective of the way the game's played, the mechanics of how transitions, movements across maps are played, encounters with people in sort of like council or how you would communicate with people, and then of course combat. What did you guys think? Yay, nay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
It was really cool. There was a couple tiny nitpicks I had with it, but overall, I really enjoyed
Fireworks being one.
it. Man, the fireworks. Yeah, that's the big one. That one that's insane.
I went
There
back
was-
and looked at fell
Sorry.
abilities. I didn't find anything else that does that max endurance loss or whatever.
You know what it is? I figured out why it bothers me so much. Like a regular enemy, they crit you, they do like 9 damage. That guy has to roll nothing, automatically does probably at least 1 damage to everyone in the party, and has the potential to outright murder any of them.
Yeah,
Insane.
that's true. That's true.
It's probably just that one fell ability that bothers me, but the rest
Yeah.
of it I really enjoyed.
I mean,
For
that's easily
reference-
fixable. Like,
yeah, right.
if
There
we were
was
playing
a-
like a longer thing, like I feel like Aaron would have been a little bit more lenient.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Or
For
I mean,
reference,
go ahead,
sorry, I
Troy.
just want to give a little context. There was a wizard that we were fighting who had like fireworks on him, and Caleb had like stolen some of them, or not even Caleb. Ben had stolen some
had
of
stolen
them.
Mhm.
So like they were only like half as effective, but they still killed Caleb from full to dead, essentially.
Oh,
in one hit.
They got Alex.
Alex.
Yeah, they killed me.
It was from
Yeah.
full health to 0.
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
think you'd been hit yet.
22 health. And like the max a normal enemy can do is 9.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a lot.
Very strange.
Just don't get
Yeah.
hit, lol.
There it is.
I mean, I think the game is meant to feel pretty deadly. I mean, from the
The
standpoint, you're
rest
supposed
of
to feel
it didn't
like the
feel
description
that
is like
deadly, though. That was the one thing that felt.
Yeah.
not for
Incredibly
you
deadly.
guys, I guess, is the thing. Like the fell abilities should
It
just
felt
be something that feels like it changes combat. But from your perspective as players, it's supposed to be pretty deadly for the people you're fighting against, right? Like most of the time, you're supposed to be taking out enemies with like one arrow or one really, well placed
Arrow.
sword attack or something, whatever.
Yeah, that didn't, it
Arrow.
didn't. I didn't really get that feel. Maybe.
I
don't
think
know.
well, I don't know. You guys you didn't roll a lot of successes on your success dice.
Yeah.
Is really the only
If
issue.
you rolled well, you could just one shot dudes
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
with wounds.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what that's like. The thing I was surprised, so it has like a stance system where like there's 4 different stances,
Yep.
like an up close and personal stance. I'm gonna forget them.
It's
Seconds.
defensive. Yeah,
Go
open stance, forward stance, defensive stance, and then rearward stance.
I like that one.
So my understanding, only one of them can you do archery in,
Yes.
Yep.
which for a while I thought I had like tricked myself into building an archer in a party that could not support more archers.
Yeah.
Because you're also limited in how many people can be in each stance. And so I literally didn't even bring a sword. And at one point, I thought I couldn't be an archer anymore. So I just wandered into melee and was like, okay, I'm here now. I think it probably works really well for melee characters. I bet it's fun to play around with the stances as a melee character.
The
As
stances
a
are
ranged,
cool.
as a
I
ranged
agree.
character, it is very not interactive.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I guess ranged characters are always kind of like that. In any game I've played, ranged characters are just like, okay, pick your favorite spot, stand there and shoot people
That's
until
true.
they all fall down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like. It's one of the only games I've ever played that has some actual refined mechanic for traversal, which I think is neat.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you're like, "Oh, I traveled from point A to point B. Cool, nothing happens." All right, when you arrive there,
Yeah.
this was cool. It felt more thematic and overworldly, and just more contained. Like the story was all in one instead of just being piecemeal.
I kind of liked. I hate encumbrance in games, but I kind of liked the system in this one, where it kind of balanced. They used encumbrance to balance like your gear,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't annoying. So, I don't
So
know.
you got those
I think we
30
played
points
pretty-
of treasure.
Also, I
Yeah.
think we played pretty loose with it. It probably could be annoying if you followed the rules really strictly.
The game Foundry was calculating it pretty specifically. So
Yeah,
if you
I
ever
mean,
got
in terms
encumbrance
of, like,
past your load,
Actions for taking stuff off, I think it's kind of messy. I think you can take off basically. I think you can drop basically one thing around if you can.
yeah, I think it is one
Oh.
thing around, but still, whatever. I mean, that's
I could see it
Minor.
being annoying.
yeah. I guess if you were really picky about it, I mean, if you think about it, like we never really do anything with encumbrance in the other games we
don't.
play.
Yeah,
but I
we
think
ignore
this
them.
mechanic is kind of core to what it is, to
I
what the
guess-
Yeah.
game is.
It seemed way more important.
I guess what I was getting at is like it's not like we're getting higher level gear. Like you kind of have access to any gear you want,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't just take everything because of how the game works. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to pick and choose. I wonder how that would feel in like a long campaign though, because like Starfinder or whatever, like getting a new high level armor set or something is like exciting. So I wonder how that works in that game.
It
Mhm.
works. Well, I mean, in general, I think rewards like treasure in that game, magical treasures, work very differently than what you would think of in like a typical RPG, because you basically are rolling in and you're finding a treasure hoard, and then
Mhm.
as the GM or the lore master, I'm rolling to see what's in there. Most times just treasure points, but on occasion there will be a magical item, and that magical item is just built from a table that apparently, as the lore master, you're supposed to build this table of magical items that would exist in the campaign that you're running, and then as people encounter treasures, they end up finding a few of those and then can utilize them. But they're much more scarce than you would normally, like, find a better weapon, like in Starfinder or Pathfinder or something.
Mm-hmm.
Might make it more cool, but it also might make it feel like a long time between finding interesting things.
It seems like the main path of progression is just like your character stats.
Yes, very much so.
I tend not to like random loot tables, which sounds like what you're describing.
It's kind of what it is, except that it's like a... I mean, I guess it is completely random. Well, it depends on the size of the... It depends on the size of the treasure hoard, because some are guaranteed to have magical artifacts and items. But the smaller, the lesser ones, the one you guys picked up, it's just like a chance that there'll be something in there. Anyway, neat game. That was our second session. We're going to be playing Unknown Armies. Okay,
yes,
in October, and somehow streaming with potentially 9 people on the screen at once. We'll see how that goes. Yeah,
Potentially 10, right?
10,
it's up to 9 players.
Oh shoot! There's a 10th too. This is not going to work.
GM.
Whatever. I'll figure it out. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It'll happen. Anyway, let's move on to what have you been playing lately.
It might have to be more scuffed, but
no, it's going to be pristine, Alex. You stop it. What have you been playing lately? Owen, you are up, sir.
Yeah. Cool. So, you know, Baldur's Gate? You remember Baldur's Gate, right? This game that came out this year called Baldur's Gate. Still playing through that because it's like just the best game that's come out and it's awesome. And so doing an evil run on there. Evil is fun. Also very lopsided. Of you lose a lot of good stuff. Like, you lose a lot of characters because, like, Will won't join you, Karlak won't join you, you don't get Halcyon. Like, you just lose a lot by doing an evil run. And also, like, mild spoiler.
No spoilers.
What? No spoilers.
No spoilers.
None? No, zero spoilers. None at all. Nope. None.
Okay, fine. It's not... it is just a... Doing things as a good person grants you good stuff. Go figure that helping people means they might show up later in things. And when you kill everybody, no one's there to help you at the end of the game. So kind of sad that there's not like there's no alternate, like there's no alternate thing there. There's no like, oh, you sided with the goblins, so the goblins will show up later and help you. No, they never show up. And so it's kind of like, oh, that makes the end game a little bit more difficult. Which is fine, but it is kind of just like, oh yeah, this is a bit lopsided. But you know, I'm having a good time. We're making other choices. We're seeing other things. We just picked up Minartha or Minthara or whatever fuck her name is, and like it's like, oh cool, this is somebody different. So I'm having a good time with that. And then there's also this game that I've been playing that's called Starfield. Yeah, I fucking hate that game. I hate playing it at this point. I am literally playing it solely so I can say how bad it is after I've beaten the game. Like that is my only passion at this point to get through that game. I am 26 hours into it. Just fuck that game. Fuck every part of that game.
Wow.
Are you still playing it? 26 hours?
Yeah, get out of there.
Because I want to be able to say without a doubt that game is trash. I'm not having a good time with it. I think it's kind of fucked that a lot of the ways that it's like, oh, you can play in any way. As long as you level up in that way and you spend all your skills in that tree and you manage to be able to get the things to be able to play that way. Sorry, if you wanted to just do something, you can't. You got to make sure that you unlock the skill talent for it. Did you want to shoot somebody? You need a skill talent for that. You want to be able to steal a ship? Got to have a skill talent for that. You want to be able to shoot a ship better? Got to have a skill talent for that. Oh, did you want silencers on the end of your gun? Skill talent for that shit. Just all of it is just locked behind. I have to level up a character and then spend a level up on that, and then just fuck. I hate it so much.
I don't know. That kind of makes sense. It's an RPG.
Man,
Kinda
I
makes
watched
sense.
a main character die and felt nothing. I was just like, fuck this person. I want them to die faster. Why do I care? Like,
I see the problem here. The problem is, as a lot of developers asked you to do, you're comparing to Baldur's Gate 3, Owen, and you can't do that because how are you going to be able to compare it? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think that is actually honestly part of the problem is I am playing Baldur's Gate 3 and I see how good all of the faces look when they talk. And so then when I have to go back to playing this and they just look dead inside and they're just like, let me tell you my tragic backstory. I'm slamming the space bar as fast as I can because I do not care about their tragic fucking backstory. I'm just like, nah, just
maybe you would care if you listen to the dialogue.
maybe if they made it at least, I don't know, mildly fucking interesting, I would actually give a shit. But they haven't. They're just like, oh yes, I am a spacer, or oh no, I have tragic backstory, and I'm like, cool, just fucking die already, so I can move on with attempting to level up.
Jeez,
like I am so disappointed with it. I used to love, I love Bethesda games. I love so many Bethesda games, right? I mean, I will go at bat for Fallout 76 any day of the week because that is how much I love fucking Bethesda games. And then this comes out and I'm just like, no. Like, I just can't.
How did you feel about Fallout 4? Because I feel like the leveling problems are very similar to the leveling problems Fallout 4 had.
I think Fallout 4, I didn't have as many problems because, one, a lot of the, let me build or add on things to my guns and characters, like that kind of customization thing, wasn't locked behind a skill.
Yeah, it was. You couldn't put a silencer on your gun unless you had, rank 2 science or some shit.
I don't remember that, honestly.
I remember, because I grinded until I could put a silencer on my rifle. The game became trivial, and I quit immediately because it sucked.
Yeah, so...
I'm not defending that system. I thought it was bad there, too. I was just curious, because it reminded me of Fallout 4.
I mean, I don't remember that in part of Fallout 4, because I know in, 76, the entire gun system is just, if you scrap a gun and it has a mod, you learn that mod. And so you just need to find one gun with a silencer, or you have to find a gun that has a silencer, and then you can attach that silencer to that gun. And so then you're just like, okay, cool. Let me just I'm using this gun. Let me scrap a bunch of them to either randomly get it or scrap one with a silencer, and I will get it from there. And so either version of that works. It's very nice. It's very approachable of being able to, level up your character and be able to also access all of the things. An argument can be made, and I understand, how you have to, have ranks in lockpicking or hacking, because I know that's a thing in Fallout, in the previous ones as well, is you couldn't just hack any door. You had to have a specific level of hacking to get through the door. And so, sure. But I also don't remember having it be such a grind and such a problem to get to the point to be able to get that. Whereas, all I've wanted to do is just steal a ship, and you can't do that for various fucking reasons. I went to one, and the internet was like, oh yeah, you just need to find a computer and repair it. There were no computers on this derelict ship. I couldn't find shit. I was like, I think I'm just being trolled by Reddit. And then, someone was like, oh, you need to have ranks in piloting. When I did see that, ranks in piloting was a thing for some ships. And so I had to, level that up. And then the ships that I was finding were at the end of the thing were, level 3 pilot or level 4 piloting. So even though when I had a couple ranks in it, I still couldn't steal those ships. And I was like, this fucking blows. And then I finally got level 4, and I'm like, okay, cool. Now let me find a ship, or I have to, fight pirates to disable their ships. Oh, that's a completely other tree you have to do to get a thing that you can target systems rather than just the ship itself, so you can disable the ship, so then you can use your level 4 thing to see. And I was like, man, this is a lot of goddamn effort for just trying to walk onto a ship and take it back to a planet so I can have a second ship.
I think part of what you're describing about the things locked behind skills is it has to be molded into the universe in which the game is applied. So for something like Fallout, where everything is like scrapped and scrounged, you know, like locking things behind skills seems more normal. It seems more in universe or in world, or even, you know, Elder Scrolls. Like the skills that you're utilizing seem more like you actually have to physically do something in order to accomplish whatever that skill is trying to get you to accomplish. In Starfield, it feels weird when I have to, like you're saying, upgrade my skills in weaponsmithing in order to be able to attach a different sight to this handgun that I'm running around with. Right. When like the entire universe is like so technologically advanced that I should be able to put my gun inside of a, I don't know, 3D printer and have it just make the part. You know what I mean?
You can buy 12 spaceships, but you can't attach a scope to your pistol if you're not smart enough.
It's such a weird choice.
You can't just hand it to someone and be like, please,
I
just
know.
put a
You
scope
do
on
this.
this.
Yeah,
I know.
Please put the scope on this
Or
pistol.
just
Beyond
find
that,
it.
you need
Like, you'd also
like
think that-
100. You need 100 fucking berylliums to craft it.
I know.
I'm like, what
I
are
know.
you talking about? I'll just go to the store and buy one. They have them there.
You don't even need to go to the store and buy one. You just put a bucket on the guy's head who's in the store, and then you just run around and pick everything up and leave.
that's still a thing you can do in this game.
Yep.
Are you
Wild.
serious?
Yeah,
Yes.
you can still do that in Starfield.
God bless
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
You did it
I
again,
think-
Todd.
Like, you know,
I'd be disappointed if you couldn't do that.
I'm
Yeah.
also just kind of shocked at the traveling system of it. Like, I'm used to Bethesda games to explore stuff, and at no point in time have I felt a need to go off of the beaten path because I have to go through so many menus to get to the fucking beaten path. Like,
I think that's just, you need to learn navigation of your menus, because there are so many easy ways to get access to those menus.
Right. Are you just telling him he needs to get good at menus?
Yes.
Like, what are you talking about?
it just seems such a what is like a conflicting design choice of just being like, oh, you want to go somewhere, you want to explore the universe, all right, stop your immersion, press pause, go into this other menu, then find wherever you want to go, then you have to jump into another menu once you get to that planet so you can actually land on that planet, and then you can start walking around. And like, there are, admitted, very cool things that happen in those, like, I don't want to say galaxies, but like in the little like kind of planet things.
Solar systems.
Yeah.
Solar, yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, let me go to around this sun, and the thing will pop up, and there are some cool things that happen. Like, I've had a guy just randomly serenade me. I've had somebody be like, hey, do you want to join this party ship? And then I walked on completely thinking it was a trap, and it wasn't. It was actually a fucking party ship, and they were just drinking in 0G, and they're like, come on in. And I was like, this is fucking cool, man. This is kind of neat. But I have no reason to go to these things. You know, like, I don't have a reason to do it. Like, every single time I'm going anywhere, it's literally just because I have to get from point A to point B, and I'm just like, all right, here, how fast can I do it? How fast can I get to the area? Like, I'm just like, I'm so taken out of the game because of it.
Yeah, I think it... Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like the same thing happens in Baldur's Gate, though, and you're not complaining about that, where you have to hit J to look at your quest log. You look through it, and you're like, all right, let me do this quest. And you hit either M or show on map, and then it goes, shows you where it is. And then it's either in a different zone, which you have to click multiple buttons to transfer over to that zone, or you teleport and walk there, leave camp, walk there. I mean, you're doing menus. I don't think menus can really be complained about.
Just like walk from a city into the wilderness and find something interesting.
You can't walk in a mountain pass or
Sure.
from Underdark to Act 2.
You
But
can
we're
walk
talking
on a
like
planet in
we're talking
Starfield.
like 5 options to move to a different act.
Yep.
Rather
Yeah.
than
I was
I
gonna say,
haven't even played Starfield, so but I just feel like menus are something that weird to complain about.
The issue is... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just
And
gonna
then
say, I don't think Owen's wrong with the menu option, because there are a lot of layers to it, and a lot of times the local map feels very confusing in comparison to the galactic map or whatever it's called. It's
Sorry.
actually showing you
What local map?
left bumper,
local
right
map?
bumper.
It
If
doesn't
you-
show you anything.
If you know the hotkeys, Jake, you'll know where the local map.
Listen, you gotta get good at maps, okay?
I literally
menus,
wandered
sorry.
around the starting area for like 20 minutes trying to find a store I wandered into once. And you pull up the local map, and I'm like, where's that store? And it's like, I don't know, you're in town. Like, good job.
It's just like a blank series of dots with like
yes, exactly.
random waypoints on it that you can't really tell how they're connected or...
Yikes.
I think it's also kind of interesting to look at, if you go back to, Jake, you're going to have to correct me on which one it is. I think it's Mass Effect 3 or 2 that has the little ship that you kind of just toggle around inside of different different solar systems. And then you can like go to a planet and then scan it or something.
It's kind of in both 2 and 3. I think you're thinking of 3 though.
Yeah, because like it is amazing to me how just by going to like, oh, I want to go into this solar system, and I fly my little ship over to it, like on the map, the little kind of like minifig of my ship, and I just kind of like have it put over to a solar system, and I press A, and then I'm inside of the solar system, and then I have it put over to a planet or something like that. It is amazing how that is a more immersive and entertaining way of flying than this game. Because you don't get to fly your ship, you just get to move your ship from one scene to the next scene, and occasionally you will fire things, but you never get to, like, actually approach a planet and land on it. You never get to, like, fly out. Like, you just... What is the point of me having a ship if I don't get to do anything with it? Literally, the only thing is just combat every once in a while. That's it.
That's a valid point. Why don't they just, like, if you're not going to have, with the exception of, like, local combat in one just space where you end up at, why wouldn't they just have you, like, click a space on a planet and you're just there? It's like, oh, I'm going to be at this place. I want to explore this place because I want to be there. Because there's very few actual events that happen in space. Most of the, I mean, there are some, but they're just, I don't know, like, there's a starship full of a teacher with kids. She's teaching a class. She's like, oh, do you have ship parts? And you give them ship parts, they fly away. That's the event you get. It's not like it has something to do with the arc of the main storyline or something to do with the arc of what you're doing. I mean,
it's to give you the opportunity for that stuff, which is like an extra thing to claim it that's in the game. The real main reason for the ship is so that they can give you a house that goes with you across the galaxy.
Yeah, it's fun though because they also just give you the ability to build a fucking outpost, and like you could build a house. Like, I think that's the other end of it. I was like, okay, so what's the difference now between doing either of these? Because I haven't, like, I love building like the building stuff in Fallout 4 and 76. Like, I love my little camp that I've built, but I haven't even touched building anything inside of Starfield. Because I was like, why bother? I have a ship. Once I have one ship, it works. It gets me from point A to point B. I don't need to worry about anything else. There's my ship. I'm done.
Have you built ship?
I
built more ship?
I managed to finally get a ship, steal it, bring it back, modify the hell out of that ship.
Okay, so you're doing like the whole customize your ship thing at least.
Yeah, I was finally. I didn't want to customize the starting ship because I was like, oh, this is a cool thing and I want to keep it the way it is. So I was like desperately trying to find a ship to then modify and build and make my own, which I eventually found one and I was like, okay, cool. And I've been like, I made it look how I wanted to. I got to paint it and I was like, this is a lot. Like, if you would have just sold me a shipbuilding game for like $10 on Steam, I think that would have been a better experience than the shipbuilding inside of Starfield.
Little space program.
Yeah,
true.
This is kind of tangential, but can you save like a blueprint of a ship?
No.
And then like pop back to it? No, that's too bad.
I also dislike that there's no way of sharing a blueprint of a ship.
Right.
I feel like that would have been like a slam dunk easy thing to do, of just being like, because a lot of people are sharing videos and tweeting about like, oh, I made a Pelican, I made, you know, the Normandy, I made this thing from, you know, the Serenity, I made a Star Destroyer, you know, I made a space truck, like, oh cool, I made all these things, and I'm like, neat, how do I get to build one of those and spend all of my credits that I have in this game? Oh, I have to watch like a 40-minute tutorial and go piece by piece the way that this person did, rather than just being able to like copy and paste the code into the game.
They should also have the same thing for character creation.
Yeah.
Like a code or something.
It would be really nice.
Yeah.
Like,
All you need in that
Games in
game,
general.
Like in Street Fighter 6, man, you can just pop a code and get
Can you really?
somebody's creation. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
the only ship you need in that game is a cube with a hollow center. You won't
That's
ever be able
right,
to get
yeah.
shot ever.
That's right.
Yeah. Apparently, the AI fires towards the center of your ship. So if you make a ship that's hollow in the center, you just can't take damage.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's incredible.
Anyway,
Chad, how about you?
All right, so I didn't realize the Starfield segment was going to go that long, so I
Yeah,
told
I
Aaron to
apologize.
move me up because we were just talking about Baldur's Gate, and I was like, oh, I have thoughts on the evil stuff, but I didn't want to like jump in before. Anyways, so I also completed Baldur's Gate. Took me like 148-ish hours to
Yep.
beat on the first run through.
that's
did
roughly
goody
mine.
two
I did
shoes.
150.
Yeah, did goody two shoes. So, also while watching Aaron and Caleb, Jake, and Alex play, there's so much in this game that it just could go completely different every single run. One of the things that just blew my mind was Shadowheart getting stabbed and then Lae'zel exploding because Alex chose wrong dialogue options.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not been keeping
Things
up
were
with our
kind of-
playthrough.
Super sideways. I don't know.
Mhm. It was very sudden, and it was very unfortunate.
Lae'zel out
Or
of
Lae'zel
nowhere
specifically.
was just like, give me the artifact. And I'm playing Shadowheart. And I'm like, my entire character identity is like, I gotta protect this thing. So I'm like, no, I'm not giving it to you. And then she stabs me through the stomach and takes it anyway. And she goes off to the corner of the camp and just explodes into a pile of guts.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
She's just gone.
You managed to somehow kill Lae'zel?
Yeah.
It was, dude. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen in my
was
goddamn
pretty
life.
nuts.
That
was
is
insane.
amazing.
Because like the scene started, and I was like, "Oh shit, Shadowheart's gonna die," and then Lae'zel
Yeah.
like exploded.
I thought both, to be honest, I thought both Shadowheart and Lae'zel was dead because I was thinking to myself, like, all right, well, who's Alex going to play next?
I came out of the
Yeah.
cutscene at 1 HP. So
Yeah, it was after we had just long rested. It was man. It was
See,
pretty
the good
weird.
news is
Hot
you get stabbed
damn.
and died, and you can get revivified. You explode and die, you can't be revivified.
There's no body.
Yeah.
There was I did see online that somebody, like, after beating the game multiple times, that, like, Karlach gets sentient about being in a video game and pulls a fucking Doki Doki on you. And I was like, what? Like, how many hours do you need to play to get to that point? Like, that's insane.
Sounds funny. So I also am trying to do an evil run, and I chose Dark Urge again. Both my playthroughs have been Dark Urge. What happened?
Oh.
Okay. Both my playthroughs are being Dark Urge. My second playthrough, I got creative and made my Guardian the character for my first playthrough.
Oh.
Oh, that's neat.
So
Nice.
it's just like vaguely looks familiar from that person. I actually realized that I effed up the eye color, but whatever. That doesn't matter. So I also like, first of all, I thought I was going to do an evil playthrough the first run, and then like as soon as I got to a choice where I was like, let me choose this choice, and I heard the dialogue from the other person, I was like, oh, that's so sad.
They're really evil,
Yeah.
some of those choices.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, I don't know if I could be able. So I stumbled across a Reddit post where they were basically having the same contemplation as me. It's basically like, how do you be evil in this game and like actually put up with it, and like how can you do that as a compassionate person? And a lot of people basically started writing down, and this kind of goes to what Owen was saying on evil's just like doesn't benefit you at all. A lot of people were like, you're playing evil wrong if you're doing that then, because evil doesn't necessarily mean murder hobo, you just go all out,
Right.
kill everything. Evil it has so many different layers to it, to where it's like, you're trying to be evil, but like, all right, so there's that one quest where there's the paladins that want to kill Karlach, and like, I feel like the evil option is just kill Karlach, just right there, right? But
Yep.
instead of doing that, you're like, all right, Karlach is like a good asset to my team. Kill the paladins instead.
Sure.
Or like the gnolls that are attacking the two guys in the cave. You know, there's loot in there, and so there's an option, which I actually just figured this out last night or 2 nights, whatever. The gnolls actually see you as a true soul, and there's a dialogue option where you could just be like, oh, just go attack the people in the cave, and then they don't attack you anymore. So it's like there's a lot of things where it's like there's the gray areas that you just basically choose whatever benefits you. I haven't really gotten to the goblin part, and then after that, I'm very curious to see how an evil playthrough interacts with when you walk into the Camp of First Light, because you save the village, and a tiefling little kid comes up. It's like, oh, they saved us. Don't. So like, how's that going to interact when you're evil and you walk into that camp? Are you gonna have to just kill the whole camp right then?
Yeah, I just got in there and I can tell you just don't. You go elsewhere. You go elsewhere first.
Okay.
But yeah, like it is hard, especially when your like first option is like, oh, do you side with like the goblins or the druids, like the grove or whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess we'll have to side with the goblins because we want to try that out. And so we did that. And then I was like, they wouldn't kill Maul and the rest of the tiefling children, would they? And I went down there and I saw all of the dead bodies and I came right back upstairs and I was like, well, this is very sad. I feel horrible.
I guess you almost have to look at it on a scale of like selfless to selfish. Like selfless is the good path, selfish is the evil path. Like what is the best possible route for me to achieve the things that I want to achieve? Or in that case, your character, like what do they want to achieve? And just really lean into it. And I think that makes sense based on what you were reading.
I think it's definitely going to be easier trying to do an evil run after doing a good run, just because I now know all of the outcomes pretty much.
Well, you're also... Sorry, I was just going to say, you're not, like, missing out. You know you're not... Right. It's not like, oh, no, Will's gone. It's like, no, I already did a game with Will. I know what he's up to.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping Gale doesn't leave, because I already did a game with Gale missing, so...
Oh, that's right.
You can convince Gale to stay in evil, but you have to convince him. He is very upset the entire time.
It's very easy to lose them in an evil mode. Very, very easy.
Yeah. I'm also working through all the achievements, so I'm 47 of 53. And
dang.
Oh wow,
that's a lot.
You got like a list somewhere that you can just like send over, because I would love to do that.
Have you done Steam before?
first is Steam, but then there's a ton of hidden ones. And what I did is
there's a lot of hidden ones.
I actually whipped out a Google sheet and I wrote down there was a hidden list that I found, and so I wrote down the ones that I already achieved. And then I wrote down the ones that I didn't achieve, and I had them completed, not completed. And I've been adding to the completed list. And so there's 5 more. There's also ones that bugged out on me that I had to try to find a save file or something to get it, because I was like, that's so sad. Then there's the busker one that I just recently got, which is really fun. You just play music and get gold.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it's fun. There's an achievement that I told Alex about this. I said, I asked Alex if he remembered the zombie that popped out of the coffin and then runs around the room opening up more coffins with more zombies. And then after that, there's the mirror that you talk to. And then after that, you get the Book of Necromancy. I said, in that room, there is a scroll in which you're supposed to use that scroll, but you probably handed it to Aaron, and Aaron's not a summoner, and it's a summoner spell, and it just gives you an achievement. So you guys should probably just look at that.
Is it the Method scroll?
It's what did I say it was? It was the summon Quasit or something like that.
That's what I mean.
Oh yeah, I have that scroll.
Yeah, so
first of all, the only one I've ever seen that says scroll is consumed on use or something.
Yeah, so first of all, learn that, because you can. You'll still get the achievement if you use the skill after you learn it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then it has a pretty cool part. Other than that, the game was just phenomenal. I mean, it's for me to play through first a D&D style game, and then second try to start another run of a D&D style game.
Aren't you also playing a 4-player game?
Kind of. There's a whole Caitlin went to Germany, and then her parents are moving from state to state, house to house, so there hasn't been a lot of time to play that. So I pretty much just left them in the dust and played through. But yeah, I think I realized kind of why I really enjoyed this game, and it's because Dragon Age Origins was the original one of my favorite games of all time. and it had that like nice, you know, camaraderie of like going alongside these characters where you start, you know, unraveling their story, kind of witnessing this just like world building. And Baldur's Gate is just that on steroids, and it's just so good.
It really is
so good.
so much about the characters just being really good, really well written, really interesting.
I almost think that like I'm kind of happy that I started a solo game and started going through solo, because I'm starting to watch some of the interactions that you guys are having as multiplayer, and I was like, I don't think you guys are actually getting the full spectrum of like everything in the game.
You get so much more out of it solo.
Oh actually, yeah, it's just, and I wonder if like if you weren't playing like Karlach, for instance, for that one scene, if you could have had Karlach join your part, like I don't know how that would work with a 4-player game. You'd have to make somebody leave, invite Karlach, like without them.
It'd be a hassle.
Like,
yeah,
it's so I don't know. It's just I feel like they could have implemented that stuff a tiny bit better. But I don't really know how to do that. But it's a good game. Good game.
I mean, you just have to assume that you're not gonna see a lot of stuff on your one playthrough, and
so the thing is
incentive for multiple playthroughs.
What I'm really disappointed in is there is one scene towards very late in the game. We'll say nothing about it other than it is for the first time in a while that I've actually been almost brought to tears in a video game. And like, I don't think you guys are going to experience that because you're just all together. From what I saw with the interaction with you fixing Karlach's heart, like it's just you're not going to get like the character doing the same thing. It's just it's heartbreaking.
I know exactly the scene you're talking about, and yeah, I wept too. I was like, holy shit.
We get the joys of friendship.
True.
You get the joys of somebody choosing dialogue options and destroying an origin character.
Yeah, watching Lae'zel explode after
just wild stuff happening.
Or somebody else choosing an option and getting a game over immediately.
Oh, yeah. Was that when Aaron was like, let me see what this button does? Explodes, kills.
Jake.
Yeah, I did the same thing. A god
also
showed up and I was like, why don't you take care of your own problems if you're a god? And she was like, eat shit, game over.
Yep.
Wild.
It sounds to me, Chad, like you just like CRPGs, maybe. And maybe you should just play
you
more
said this
CRPGs.
before, and like I feel like also this game just
maybe
like
the Pathfinder games or something.
The exploration, the looting, like all of it visually. Just first of all, the game's also visually stunning.
Yeah.
There's
the
like
presentation is really good. Yeah.
There's that one scene where you like walk into the mountain pass and then like, especially if you have the mod with the camera that you can like kind of move around better, you just look over towards the crash area and you're just like, dang. And then also when you get into the astral prison the first time and you're just like, whoa, like, what is this place? But yeah, also just like all the secrets that you can find and unlock, and like the exploration there, walls that vanish, and just like puzzles to solve, and I don't know, the game,
just a bunch of interesting side quests.
Oh yeah.
Have you played Divinity Original Sin?
I tried
Original Sin 2,
and then she caught me on fire too much. I got mad and I quit.
Man, Original Sin 2 is
so
classic.
Also Original Sin to me, I don't know if I was just like smooth brained back then, but I got to different combat scenarios where I just could not pass them, and it was just frustrating. And like I never ran into that in Baldur's Gate. Now, mind you, I did play on balance. I play on Tactician this time because I know like what I should prepare for and how I should prepare. Which is going to be interesting playing Evil Tactician because I have heard it's harder. Now we're just going to add Evil Tactician, no karmic dice.
I bet you'd be better at Divinity now.
Yeah, probably.
I will say Divinity is a lot more like, I guess complex is the word I'm thinking of. Like Baldur's Gate, since it's based on D&D, it's like you pick a fighter and it's like, okay, you can only fuck up a fighter so bad. You know what I mean? Like, other than picking your class and I guess potentially setting your stats at the start, you're not like in Divinity Original Sin 2, you're picking from like 10 different classes, and then you're picking feats out of a huge list. Like what, every other level? It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, so I played a rogue for my first playthrough. Well, first playthrough was Bard, and then I was just like, I don't like this character, so I deleted that save file after getting onto Ethel and then restarted. so I played Rogue, but then like I think it was 6 or 7 levels deep, I switched to Monk, like Rogue Monk. And then so I got like double bonus actions and like double like I had like the key and like the unarmed attacks that I could do, and but then after that I added fighter on top of it.
Cool.
So that it was like Rogue, Monk, fighter. So I was just like doing, at one point I told Alex I did like 8 attacks in one turn. I don't even understand why or how, but I did 8 attacks in one turn, and the guy just went from full health to dead, and I was like, wow, that's crazy.
We were trying to look at all your stats. We're like, I don't understand how you did that many attacks.
And then I swapped back and forth, played Lae'zel and Karlach, just varying on like what part of the story I was in. Always had Shadowheart with me, and she was just basically I think it was called like life balance cleric and just healer. So she literally stood there, put Sanctuary on herself, and healed, never attacked. And then I had Will because I couldn't get Gale, and Will just sat there and just pushed everybody. Also, both Shadowheart and Will had like incredible amounts of summons, so I had so many people. Like going into the end game, I had like 20 people that I could use. It was great.
Excellent.
But yeah, so the game good. Good. Quickly, the other games that I've been playing lately, which I don't even know if really consider me playing them, like I've dabbled in them. I played Dota. Definitely played a lot of Dota. We've been getting back into that. Fun time. Still have the issue of letting one character get out of control and then crying because they're just absolutely abusing us, and then trying that character and then realizing that the player that abused us was just really good, not the character being really good.
It is annoying.
So, so there's that. Also, they were doing like I think we touched on this. They were doing like the Decade of Dota or something like that, so you could get like Immortals for the wins and stuff like that. So that was fun.
That messed me up. That messed us all up. I saw one message, and then I texted Alex about it. I was like, hey, did you see they're doing this like free Immortals thing? He was like, what? And then a couple days later, I was like, Dota, and everybody, and both of you just instantly played, and now I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Why did we get back to this?
Back into that. Fun game. I mean, I don't know. It is what it is.
Excellent
I think it's even more complex now than it used to be. They've added more lane space, more items. Just
tangential Dota information. Once upon a time, me and Aaron went to TI 2 different times. I looked at prices for tickets this year.
It's insane, isn't it?
They're insane. Like, so they split it into playoffs and finals. Playoffs are 3 days long, $99 each day, which is like, all right, I guess you could see doing that. Finals is 3 days, and they only sell it as a 3-day pass, and it's $700.
What?
And you're talking just for event tickets, right?
Just for the event tickets.
Where is it?
In Seattle.
In Seattle. The arena. Well, Climate Change Arena?
Climate Pledge Arena, right?
Climate Pledge Arena.
Yeah, the first year it's back in Seattle since they shut down the arena and remodeled it.
Yeah.
Is a change in the name implied? Because like Climate Change Pledge Arena?
I think it's a pledge to prevent climate change.
They pledge for there to be a climate.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a Jeff Bezos decision, that name.
Okay.
I think he bought it.
All right, Jeff. Okay, Jeffrey.
Speaking of Jeffrey Bezos, if you're done with talking about what that was.
Yeah, I just wanted to say how insane the ticket price is. It's like 4 times more expensive than the last time me and Aaron went.
Nuts.
Yeah, that's
Daddy B owns a company, right?
Don't call him that, please.
Amazon, right? So Amazon makes a game, and that game is called New World. We got to it.
Good segue.
It's a good segue right there.
That's the game I have been dabbling in. I feel like I've touched on this because they announced an expansion pack, and so I kind of talked a little bit about this. But I'm echoing if I have said stuff about this, then just bear with me. They're doing a lot of good changes in New World. First of all, expansion pack, new zone. They're adding mounts, so that's cool. Even though they came out in the beginning and said no mounts ever in the lore, there's no mounts on this island. Yeah, pretty much. Which I think is just translation to we don't want to develop mounts, so there's no.
Yeah.
There's like a letter you can find in the original game where it talks about how there's no mounts
Yeah.
and the reasons for it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, New Zone is boosting the gear score from a maximum of 625 to, I believe, 700. With that, they are taking away a system that basically ultimately made me quit the game, which is called an expertise system. So this means like, let's take it into Destiny 2 terms, light levels, right? So you pick up a, I don't know, 15, 20 light level gun, right? But your expertise is 1400. You are now using that 1520 gun at a 1400 light level. So essentially, like when you go into like raids and stuff like that, where it's like 1380 max or whatever, like it lowers your you're essentially, because of how the game is developed and how they implemented the expertise system, until you find these items that are higher expertise level. So for instance, like I have a 580 sword that I got from a quest. That doesn't count. I have to find drops of this sword, 400, 425, 450, 475, all the way up to that 580 level to finally be able to use it at a 580 level, which also makes dungeons severely difficult because, you know, you're supposed to be level 60 with like at least 500 eye level or gear score, whatever you want to call it. But then most of your gear score is expertise locked to like 400 something. It's just a stupid system. It's a system that they
locking. Does it just mean you have to use that weapon a bunch more before your expertise goes up?
Expertise is like legitimately like RNG based. I have this 580 sword that I bought off the trading post, or I bought it off. I finished a quest, or that 580 sword isn't usable at the 580 level until I've killed enough mobs or went through enough dungeons to have enough swords drop at 480 for, you know, all the way up to that 580 level.
So it's like it's almost like recycling the swords increases your expertise with them.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Essentially,
Weird.
but as soon as it drops, your quote unquote watermark goes up. So like it enters your
Sounds
inventory,
so
and
annoying.
then it's so annoying. I like the whole reason I quit New World is because I had made 2 builds, and I specifically made a Dex tank build. So I was using dexterity instead of strength, which most tanks were using strength. Because I could also hot swap, and this game allowed you to switch your weapons out and hot swap to be a DPS. And it was like the draw to the game is that you could just, you know, insert any weapon into the slot, and then boom, that's your roll. So I would be bow and javelin for DPS, dexterity, and then I would switch to sword and board and great axe, and that would be like my tank build. And so it, depending on what role people needed me to be, I would hot swap back and forth. I even went out and like grinded the 20 levels, because they also have levels that you have to grind in each weapon to unlock the skills, which doesn't take takes a long time. You know, it's very time consuming. So did that for all the weapons, but then they implemented this expertise system like a couple months after, you know, I hit 60 and was like, you know, playing through the game. And so I was like, that's just dumbest stuff. They have since said that they were removing that completely. And so you're just going to, like, if you buy something off the trading post, you can use it. If you craft something that is like 600, 625, you can just use it. So great choice, in my opinion. It makes the grind of a game go down when I think they were they were attempting to make people play for longer, but like they kept adding these like artificial time gated like just extensions to their gameplay. So for instance, like chest runs were a big thing where you just get a huge party, go to an elite zone, and you just run through. You don't even really kill the mobs. You just run through and you know, open each chest, which gets you materials, sometimes weapon drops, and that's how you got your gear score up at the very beginning. And then they finally were like, they also had orbs, which was the thing that you used to enter each dungeon. You had to craft the orb. And so you basically were like, want to buy orb, or like, who has orb? And so it limited the amount of dungeon grinding that you could do, which if you think about MMOs and what they are, people love to dungeon grind. That's just what they do. You know, there's, for instance, there was a drop in World of Warcraft that I probably sat there for like maybe 40, 50, 60 attempts trying to get this one item. I just kept resetting the dungeon, going back in, resetting the dungeon, going back in, resetting. It's like, that's just what an MMO player likes to do. They like to bang their head against the wall grinding a dungeon. So they've since added Dungeon Finder, which is a while ago. Dungeon Finder, You could do 25 dungeons a day and get rewards from it, which is like, that sounds kind of low, but like dungeons take quite a while. So
that sounds like a lot to me.
Yeah. It's for some players, they're like, oh, 25 is not that. But like, I've only ever, when I've really hardcore into the game, got into like 10 dungeons in one day. That's a lot. So I think it's fine. They're doing some good changes. New zones, expertise is gone. They're removing resistances, which is like the crux of the end game right now. You basically, like, as soon as you join a party for like mutators that they have, so it's basically just like dungeons but harder. You're required to have like, all right, this dungeon has a mutator of like all enemies do fire damage. They're removing that so that players aren't like forced into having specific over expensive resistances on their gear. They're basically just making the game more accessible for end game content for a lot of players, which I think is a must. And hopefully with this expansion, it'll kind of revitalize the game, because like honestly, Norworld wasn't that bad of a game. It had a very good foundation. It just a lot of poor choices along the way to, you know, make the people just not want to play it.
Jake, on to you.
My turn. Well, we already talked about Starfield.
I know.
I have a few more things I want to say about it. I won't reiterate anything we've gone over. We talked about the shitty map and my feelings on the level up system a little bit. But the real thing that has made me decide I don't want to play this game anymore, and I'm curious to hear if you guys had similar issues, I could not for the life of me find cool quests. Like, I swear, every quest I went to, it was like, okay, go talk to that guy. Now go and talk to that guy, and he'd be like, okay, go over there and pick that thing up. And I'd go over there, and they'd be like, good job, you saved the galaxy. I'm so proud of you. Like,
it did seem like several of them were, like, I had one that was literally going to all of the VIPs or like the important people in the town, and I was like, this is just a breadcrumb quest to introduce me to all of the main people in this town to pick up more quests. Like, this isn't a fun quest. Like, this is just... And there was like a lot of that, and I was like, oh, this is not good. I agree.
Okay, let me ask a question that probably can't be truthfully or honestly answered because of the fact that we have a bias now. Do you think that if Baldur's Gate did not come out, you would feel the same way about these quests?
I absolutely did.
Okay.
No question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Literally, the worst one I can think of. I walked into this town. It was like a old West, felt straight out of Fallout. I like walk into town. I'm like, all right, cool town. I'm feeling it. I walk in, and they're like, oh shit, there's a bank robbery. They're in there with hostages. I'm like, oh yes, this is a cool quest. I finally found one. I walk up to them, like, stand aside. I'm the protagonist. I got it. So I go up to talk to the bank robbers, and I'm like, hey, you guys should stop robbing this bank. And they're like, no, like, we're in here, we've got hostages. And so I do a persuasion check, I'm like, no, seriously, stop robbing the bank. And they're like, oh, you're right, we'll turn ourselves in. Quest complete. I did it. I did one persuasion check, and the quest is over. I was just like, wow, that sucked. That was nothing. That was less than nothing.
I think persuasion trivializes a lot of the quests in general. If you're really good at it, you just don't have to do like that. I know the exact one you're talking about. The alternative, one of the alternative options is there's a like air vent towards the back of the building. You can sneak in and then take everybody out from above without having to talk to them at all. But persuasion just makes it like, I just solved this problem just by talking, just with words.
The reason I ended up going persuasion was because of a different quest. It was like, oh, go get this guy hiding out on a thing. So I navigate through menus like 12 times, finally get to his planet, run from my ship over to where he is. And I talk to him, I'm like, hey, there's a bounty on your head, like, pay up or I'm going to kill you. And it's like, okay, do the persuasion check or don't. And I was like, well, I don't really want to do the persuasion check. I'd rather do like a quest. And he just goes, okay, I'm going to shoot you now. And so I shoot him in the head 12 times and he dies. And I went, well, that sucked. Reload the save, try persuasion, and he just goes, oh, okay, you're right, here you go. I'm like, wow, this quest sucks. This was nothing, again.
Yeah.
Like, I eventually found a handful of quests that were, like, okay. But, I mean, almost nothing that compares to, like, even just the older Bethesda quests, I feel like were more involved. I don't know, I could not find a good quest to save my life.
I think they just spent so much time building the builders, like the Starship Builder and building the like Hab Builder, whatever you call it. Man, those are nice. I mean, they're well fleshed out, but a lot of the other components to it feel like they just kind of like tossed it, and they're like, it'll be fine. Nobody,
Yeah,
this
right.
is everybody's gonna overlook this. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, a lot of the quests almost feel like, I mean, calling them AI generated feels mean, but when a quest is like run around and flip 12 of these switches and then come back to me. I don't know how else to describe it.
No like Dark Brotherhood style quest line.
There are like factions, but Caleb, I know I described the one faction quest that I did where I had to break into a rival corporation's headquarters and plant some incriminating evidence. It was just the second floor of a random store, and it was behind one locked door with no guards. So I picked it, and then there was a chest. I picked it too, and I put the thing in there. Quest complete. Like, it's just, nothing. That's nothing.
It's very light.
Yeah, I was
underdeveloped. I don't know.
Game was in development for like 8 years.
Well, they were developing the quests.
They had to develop 2 billion types of barren wastelands to explore and mine aluminum on. I do think that their priorities were perhaps a little misplaced with this one.
Yeah. Man, imagine if it came out a year ago. Like they wanted to release originally.
No.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's very disappointing for me, at least.
I agree.
On a more positive note, since I was playing this on Game Pass, I've been playing a bunch of Game Pass games. I'm only going to talk about one of them here. I played a game called The Big Con. It was a little indie game. It's like a little adventure game where you play as like a teenage girl who's like a con artist who travels out across the country, pulling jobs and stealing money. It's really cute. It's got really good writing. I ended up really, really liking it. It's only a few hours long. Loved it. Check it out if you're into a game with fun dialogue. It's got like a few different mini games for like picking people's pockets and scamming people. It's fun. It's a good time.
Just like a little adventure game.
Yeah. Honestly, it's mostly like inventory puzzles, kind of like, gosh, I would pay top dollar if someone had a Flurbo, and so you gotta walk around and find like it's like a little toy that's based after like a Furby. You bring it back, you're like, you said you would pay $1 million for one. Like, the gameplay is not what you're there for, though. The writing is genuinely fun and charming. So I would definitely recommend The Big Con.
Okay. Caleb, how about you?
Well, I finished Sea of Stars. I talked about this last time, I believe. Pretty good. The story's pretty interesting. It makes a pretty cool turn about 2/3 of the way or so through the game that I really enjoyed. And then the characters are okay. The two main characters, man, they are nothing. Blank slates. They are not fun. But the other characters are interesting and have cool stuff going on.
Brutal.
The main two characters suck. But game is gorgeous also, and it has some pretty interesting gameplay mechanics, combat mechanics that I really enjoyed. But still, I'd say if you're looking for a game of this style, JRPG, turn-based, Chained Echoes is still the way to go. It's my favorite. So good. But Sea of Stars is pretty good. There's so many connections to The Messenger, the game the developers made previously. So many connections. So that was cool.
Which, strangely, is not a JRPG.
No, not in any way.
Like, not even a little bit.
Nope. Yeah. I also picked up Dead Link, which we've also talked about before. Alex suggested it. It's the Doom-like roguelike game. Really fun. I just finally unlocked the last class, and it's a blast to play. The flow of the gameplay, I think Alex talked about this. That's really what it's all about. Because you have like, when you switch weapons, a thing happens. When you use a grenade, a thing happens. When you use an ability, a thing happens. When you punch there's like these balls around. When you punch them, a thing happens. You're like constantly swapping which thing you're doing at which time to get whichever benefit's going to be most useful against the current enemy. Very, very cool. Highly recommend. And then I picked up Gunbrella. Been playing through Gunbrella. It's like Celeste with a gun, kind of. That's easiest explanation. You have a gun that is an umbrella. You can use it to dash and float and it's pretty enjoyable, pretty funny dialogue, good gameplay. I recommend playing with mouse and keyboard. I think it's much easier to aim the gun that way. I found controller to be annoying in the gun with while playing.
Is it very story heavy?
It's like a lot more dialogue than I would have expected.
Yeah, I kind of expected it to be borderline no dialogue, frankly.
I mean, the story's pretty simple. Somebody killed your wife, and you're hunting them down. They left the gunbrella behind, and you're trying to figure out whose it was so you can kill them.
Oh, it's like Kill a Kill.
It's
like Kill a Kill.
You're right.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same. Don't even tell me it's different.
You're not wrong. So it's not crazy story heavy, but there's a lot of talking to people.
Okay, interesting. Not what I would have expected.
Yeah, pretty good though.
Movement's just really satisfying. That's the main thing.
Yep, the dash feels really good. The wall jumps, there's like wall jumping, and you can like swing off of grappling hooks and stuff. It's fun.
So I guess it's like a platformer.
Yeah,
primarily. Okay.
Yeah, and there's like kick on the gun, so you can use it to like move yourself a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's like
stuff like that.
Like a combat focused platformer.
It's like a Ruby 'em up.
Ruby 'em up.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Shame.
No.
Not doing it.
You've combined too many games now. Or
I'm trying to. Aaron has not done it in a long time. I've got to take up his mantle.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd go next, but I only really played Dota outside of playing Baldur's Gate this last couple weeks, mainly because I've been so focused on preparing for the One Ring. It's taken up all of my free time for playing games. It's just me, Caleb. Stop shaking your head at me. It's what I do. It's what I do. But yes, Dota had its 10-year anniversary, so of course, man, what a solid game. And I'm just going to say right now, Lion, best character.
Like, I've played a bunch of games and like 60% of them have been Lion for you. I feel like.
Best character. I mean,
crazy.
What? Name another character in Dota that's been to hell and back to hell and back again.
Exactly. You can't.
Does he have the most CC of anybody?
The most CC?
He's got a lot.
I mean, he's got a lot. He probably doesn't have the most.
Like Shadow Shaman has?
Yeah, Shadow Shaman has a lot. And his cooldown on his Hex is very low. If you get... I don't know if Dazzle still has the upgrade, but when he had Ag Shard, he would just Hex everybody with his Q. Which, that's a lot of CC.
I had a game with Dazzle, he still has it.
Underlord has a lot of CC.
I don't know, you get AoE Hex with Lion, right? At some point.
Yeah, but it's level 25. It's way up there. But I mean, an 8-second cooldown on an AoE 300 AoE Hex is pretty insane in that game. But at that point, everybody's got BKBs and much better mobility, so you're not catching 3 or 4 people. You're catching 2, maybe.
That's a good point. I didn't think
about
it.
You didn't think about
I didn't think about the BKBs. No, I didn't.
Get out of here.
Important. You got to remember the BKB.
I always forget. That's why I'm so bad at Dota. I always forget about the BKBs.
I don't understand how that game is so satisfying.
It's so satisfying.
I don't get it, man.
I went to look at our hours to see like how much you've actually played, because you said you had no time for other games, but you've played like 14 hours of Dota in the last 2 weeks. But I always forget, Jake played some Dota at one point. He has a little over 9 hours in this game. That's crazy.
Dude, I love
9?
I love BKB. My favorite.
9.1 hours.
Is
dude.
higher than I would have thought.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He must have played a lot of bot games until he ran across that Manta Ray one time.
Yeah.
Jeez. Alex, how about you?
Yeah. Besides everything we've talked about, I picked up a new Final Fantasy this week, Final Fantasy 16.
Oh.
I've been playing some of that. And I've been really enjoying it. It's got an excellent presentation. Cutscenes are awesome. Combat is really like opening up. Very expressive. One of the you meet a guy early on that is like one of your main companions, and he's voiced by like that dude from the beginning of Diablo 4. Or I guess he's all throughout Diablo 4. Like the the dude with an incredibly deep voice. It's crazy. It's a good voice.
It's like really gravelly. What is
yeah.
his name? Well, I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know his name.
Crazy voice, man.
That's probably right.
It's a ton of fun so far. I'm really enjoying it. I'm surprised, and I'm playing it on quality mode.
Really?
Because I keep on seeing everywhere recommended that you should just like get used to 30 frames per second and play it on quality mode because it's a much more consistent experience. And I would agree after forcing myself to play it for a while. It's 30 frames per second, but it's like locked in, like doesn't move from 30. Performance mode dips all over the place.
I cannot believe I am hearing this come out of your mouth.
I know,
you
right?
are
It's crazy.
willingly playing a game at 30 FPS on your PC. How?
Wait, are you playing on PC?
No, it's on PlayStation.
Oh,
That's
it's on
what I thought.
PlayStation. Okay.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. That's a console.
Yeah, it's PS5. If I had the option, I'd be playing on PC in a higher frame rate, but
Sorry, go on.
that game's probably not going to be out on PC for like at least like another year and a half or so.
Amen. I'm waiting.
So, did you have something to add, Jake?
Oh, I was just gonna add, playing a game where the frame rate moves back and forth is the worst.
Yeah.
Like 30's not great, but having it go from 60 to 30 to 40 just is migraine inducing.
It's not even just that. Like that's bad. It's a bad part of it. It's probably the main reason to not play in performance mode, but it like tanks the visuals also to try to maintain 60. Like it'll just tank the resolution down to like something very noticeably very low. And everything's just kind of like a smudgy, kind of blurry mess. But
yeah, that's
luckily quality mode looks freaking awesome visually. I don't know what kind of tech they're using, but like all the leather straps and everybody looks so good. Let me tell you what, like the way the light bounces off them, it's good stuff, man.
All the leather straps on everybody. What kind of game you playing?
Everybody's got lots of belts in that game.
Interesting.
All over everybody.
They always got belts.
So many belts. Yeah, gear system and leveling up's been, interesting so far. You get like a wolf companion, dog companion, and like you can give him orders mid combat, a little bit like God of War, I guess. And that's pretty sick because you can do stuff like tell your dog to go knock somebody into the air and then like teleport to them in the air and smash them back to the ground and stuff like that. It's very fun. Yeah.
How has the gameplay to cutscene balance been? Because that was the biggest thing I was worried about after the demo.
Similar to the demo.
Fair. So just like you get
a
30
lot of
minutes of
cutscenes.
gameplay and then like an hour of cutscene.
Yeah, I guess. Oh man, the demo did have a lot of cutscenes. I guess it's less than that. A nice part about it is like you can just start from your demo progress in that game.
That is nice.
So that's what I ended up doing because I still was pretty fresh in my memory of what happened in the demo. But yeah, I mean, it's like there's a lot of cutscenes, but they're really nice, and like the story's been pretty interesting so far. I hear it gets really confusing, but
Okay,
we'll see how that turned out.
Active time lore.
Yeah,
That'll tell you all about it.
Actually, really useful. Like it's really funny, but it's actually really useful. And then
are there like links within the lore to more active time lore?
They don't really do that, but it's just like any spot that you pause it, it'll be like, all right, these characters that are talking right now, here's their backstories, and also the area in is like it's this history of this area, and like anything that you pretty much would want to know based on what you're listening to at that moment, you can pretty much get access to. And then on top of that, back in like your main camp, there's like a lore master guy that you can go talk to, and he has all the previous active time lore that you've had access to, plus additional lore about everything. And in that, there is like links that go like multiple deep on like this character knows this guy. Oh, who's that guy? Okay, that guy's this guy, and he talked about this thing once, and you're like, oh, what's that thing? And you click on that, and then it's like you can back all the way out, step. It gets kind of crazy, but
insane.
They're definitely going for. I mean, they said this before the release, but they were inspired by Game of Thrones. So there's a lot of that political like landscape background. There's also a lot of just like characters you think are going to be around for a while, and they just get taken out, man.
Lozelle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
that should be there for the whole game.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
What a game.
Okay. Chad, did you fall asleep over there?
What?
Oh man. Well, we will be back in 2 weeks, maybe with something interesting to say. Who knows? Probably not. But hey, positivity.
That's the first
boys.
time for everything.
That's right. That's right. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will catch you next time. See ya.
Bye.